Shields up, Ironbreakers. How's everybody doing today on this fine Tuesday afternoon? Hopefully you're all doing good. Hopefully you can improve on that in today's edition of Khan's Anvil. Hells yeah, there's a lot of news to go over, but before we begin, I'm going to give a very special shout out. This is something that I should have done a while ago, to be honest. But we're going to be giving a very special shout out to Katsugi TG, Colin LaSure, JV Doc, and I'm also going to add a name to that who is no longer on the list, but is also supported. And actually, no, I think this is the same person because it's got the same profile picture. I was going to say Abyssal Ice Lord, but I think that's Colin. But yes, special shout out to the Thane supporters who have been, supporting the channel on the level of Thane for a significant amount of time. And here's the interesting thing, right? So when it comes to the YouTube membership thing and all of that, like on the Thane tier, I have this perk where I'm like, hey, listen, once a month I will make a short video giving you guys a special shout out or something like that. Every time I've asked these gentlemen, what you guys want me to do? Nothing. We don't give a fuck. It's like, okay, I mean, but I have to give a shout out at some point. I have to do something for the support and whatnot. We're going to be doing shout outs to the Longbeard tier as well a little bit later in today's edition of Khan's Anvil, but I definitely wanted to recognize these fine gentlemen, the supporters of the channel here. But yeah, 2 layers is a cold in Portugal. This is not 2 layers. This is a single layer. It's just like, it's a stupid design. It's just 1 layer. Actually, it's too hot for this. I would rather have a t-shirt, but I didn't have any t-shirts. They're all like getting washed and shit. They should make you dance in your undies. Sure. It's a fraud. Sure. It's 30 Celsius. It's pretty hot. Yeah. Fake layers. Yes, that's me. Hey, yo, Ruri, how's your controller? I fixed it. Like, it's actually working all right now, but I had to replace that tiny little part. I can actually show it to you guys here. Give me a second. There was this tiny little part to it. I took a picture of it. Where is it? Yeah, it's this thing. I even said, listen, there's a special place in hell for whoever designed these fucking things. They have to be the cheapest, most unreliable, garbage-ass pieces of trash inside of a gamepad. These things. I had to replace one of these. Luckily, I have some controllers that have died over the years, so I just went in there and harvested this specific part. This is super macroed out, but yeah. It's a terrible thing, and it is hands down the worst part that we have in our controllers today. And it's not even close. These things are fucking terrible. I hate them. I hate them so much, dude. I just want to, oh my god, dude. Every time I have to touch my controllers to fix this, it pisses me off. Fixing that camera angle. But yeah, every time that I have to, do maintenance on my controllers to fix these, ugh. It's just this generation of controllers, this and the previous one, the last 2 generations of controllers have been absolutely abysmal. They're terrible. They're bad. I can't fucking stand them. All of them. Nintendo, it doesn't matter which brand you go for, all of the current mainstream controllers have this part. All of them. So whether that's a Sony controller, whether that's a Nintendo controller, I'm assuming even the Xbox ones. I don't know if I took apart the Xbox controller, but considering I've seen those bitches drift, they probably have this piece of trash too. But yeah, I've done it on the DualShock 4, on the DualSense, on the Switch Pro controller. Bro, it's so bad. It's absolutely terrible. Time to invest on another DualSense? No, it's working fine. Now that I've taken it apart, and by the way, bro, taking apart the DualSense, Jesus Christ. It's like, do you know that you take this little black strip thing, you just take that off? Like bro, it's just a pain in the ass. It's an absolute pain in the ass to take these things apart. I don't like it. Although at the same time, it's also somewhat meditative almost when you're taking it apart and just fixing and focusing on it. I spent most of my morning today doing that. When I say most of my morning, I mean all of my morning. The only thing that was left over, I went ahead and I did my workout. Meanwhile, my 15-year-old generic USB gamepad still works. I mean, you know, it is what it is. All of them comes from the same factory company. Yeah. Not to mention that the way that they're assembled, like to get this little part out, it's so easy to damage it. It's the easiest thing in the world. You could be the most careful person in the world. You take one of these suckers out and it breaks apart. Like these things, the little nubs here, these things, they break so easy. Like, look, this one's even got a tiny crack here already. This is the one that actually broke. This shit actually broke. And I was super careful with the tweezers, being like super precise about no, bro, it's just hot garbage. It's hot garbage. It's so bad that there's nothing good about it. Like I said, they're not supposed to last. They have a lifespan. Yeah, what's the lifespan? Like a month? It's fucking terrible because they start drifting after a month, 2 months if you use the controller properly. And it's like my controllers are relatively clean. It's not like I'm here in a pigsty fucking eating Cheetos and dropping the Cheeto dust all in that bitch. No, they're clean on the inside. You open that fucker, there's nothing in there. A little bit of like dust, and not even dust. It didn't even have dust when I looked inside of it. It just had like these little fiber pieces, which I don't even know where these are coming from because this is not my hair. So I don't know how these are even getting in there. It might be rat fur because there's rats in this warehouse. So maybe as they're traipsing about, a little bit of their fur comes out or whatever. That's actually funny. One of the rats that's in the warehouse got caught in the AC. Like right before this stream. I'm just, I'm taking my notes. I'm checking to see all the things that I'm going to be talking about. I'm setting up the conscast that goes live after this. Like I'm setting everything up. All of a sudden I just hear, and this rat got caught in the AC fan. I had to turn the AC off. That motherfucker survived too. I heard him like scurrying about as he was leaving. Yeah, it's wild, dude. It's freaking wild. Are you playing the new Diablo 4 season? I am not touching Diablo 4 until they give everyone their Season 1 tokens back that they fucked up with their dark pattern. That game can go die in a ditch for all I care. Fuck them. Give everybody a season token or get fucked forever. That's literally my policy on Diablo 4. They make them hard to fix on purpose to make you want to buy a new one. Yeah, I know that. It's just garbage. I love Unleashed Revisited, also known as the Anvil. Yeah, dude. Off my lawn, friggin' kids. Isn't it already dead? What's already dead? The rat? No, I think the rat was fine. I think it survived. I think it did just fine. It was just caught in there, like, it's actually fun. Oh, Diablo 4. No, Diablo, of course it's not dead. Are you kidding me? Because Blizzard still has a ton of simps. Manufactured obsolescence of current stuff is just awful. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Could be fibers from clothes. You're right, it could be fibers from clothes. That makes sense. Fibers from clothes. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Because I don't have cats in here. But, yeah, Anyway, we have a lot of news to go over. It's been a pretty busy week with the main console manufacturers trying to see if they can end their collective careers for some strange reason. But, we have the Stellar Blade Accolades trailer. Stellar Blade remains one of the best games to come out this year. Gorgeous action game by IGN. They should have, listen, They should have added, and if anybody from Stellar Blade or from PlayStation sees this, I can't believe that you guys didn't add my quote, which would have been like, absolutely stellar, Rurikhan. They should have added my quote in this bitch. It's really good. Game is absolutely excellent. Blistering frenetic combat. I'm surprised that there's so few quotes. Stunning visuals, Bleacher Report. Modern masterpiece, gaming trend. It's a really good game. Highly recommend. I hope it comes to PC. It could have been even more successful. If it came to PC day and date, which is one of the things that we're going to be talking about, I think it's going to be a theme in today's Cons Anvil, is the concept of day and date that a lot of people are ignoring. But yeah, Stellar Blade is absolutely phenomenal and comes heavily recommended by yours truly. But day and date, definitely going to be a theme going through today's show. It's a good game. Nice tacky spoiler in the trailer. Did they actually show the tacky spoiler? I didn't even pay attention. But it was actually funny because I saw in the review guide, because they always send you like, oh, we don't want you showing these things. And I'm looking at it, and I was like, okay, so you don't want to show this, 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 and this. All right. So then I'm downloading trailers so that I can have additional B-roll for my review. And I'm like, wait a minute. All of these things you're telling me not to spoil, you've already spoiled in your official material. What's going on? You heard of Animal Well, Rurikhan? Seems like a neat Metroidvania. It does look really cool, but 2D Metroidvanias, other than Metroid, I don't usually tend to play a lot of those. I gotta at some point play Hollow Knight. Still not sure how I'm going to be doing that. If I'm going to be streaming it or just... Because, you know, we've started the playthrough for Hollow Knight, but... then I got distracted with something else, so I don't know. Technically, it's obvious from the beginning. I don't know if I would call it obvious, but yeah. Laggy Night? Damn. How about that crab game, Rui? Another Crab's Treasure? It's like, that game is a little bit weird for me because I think the game is really fun. I think the game's a blast, but I don't like the fantasy of playing as a crab. I don't like it. I just don't like playing as a crab. On a personal level, like, I can't explain it any other way. I just don't... It's not particularly compelling for me. Blizzard is working on a Souls-like game according to the job listing for the new project. The game will contain legendary and interesting boss fights players will talk about for decades. And it will be monetized like Satan's butthole, okay? It's going to be monetized like Satan's butthole. That's what I have to say about whatever Blizzard is working on. Like, I'm sorry. Blizzard has burned too many bridges and, like, taken away too much of my good faith. I've given Blizzard way more good faith than I've given probably any other publishing company in the world. I've given them so much, and they've continuously and relentlessly fucked me over. So you know what? It's like, nah, sorry, bro. Like, nah, that whatever Souls like that they're working on, they can go fuck themselves with it. Blizzard is making Overwatch PvE now after Helldivers 2 success. No shot. No shot, Suna. They canceled the PvE mode. What the hell are we talking about? Like, oh man, this Helldivers game actually... Turns out people actually like PvE. Oh. Blizzard, why so cold? You're not the only one, Ray. Yeah, there's a lot of people who have given Blizzard way more good faith than Blizzard deserves. Straight up. I already burned that Blizzard bridge after Shadowlands. Yeah, dude. Friggin' Shadowlands was really bad. I still remember people telling me, they're like, oh man, the Shadowlands questing experience is actually really good. And I was like, what game did you play, bro? It was terrible. It was terrible, dude. It's insane. But yeah, it's like Blizzard's burned away all of the goodwill they could actually ever have for me. They've just burned it away repeatedly and relentlessly. They killed Heroes of the Storm, which is the best thing they ever made. I'm not sure I would say it's the best thing they ever made, but it was really good. It was really friggin' good. Heroes of the Storm was absolutely phenomenal. Season of Discovery already ruined by Metal Slaves and Gear Score. Yeah, I noticed that. I don't think there's a way back for World of Warcraft wherein you can just have a player go in and enjoy the game. That game is meta slavery, the game. That's it. Unless you happen to, if you happen to have 9 other friends and you all want to go in there and just have a good time, then it would be great. But if you're going in by yourself and looking for a group of people, forget about it, bro. It's meta slaves the game. That's it. The only thing that matters is meta and nothing else. You know what can redeem them? StarCraft? No. Listen, nothing can redeem them. It is over. Like, I don't care. At this point, I've completely given up, severed ties, right up until the War Within releases. Then I'm going to play that. I'm not sure if I'm going to play the War Within either, to be honest. It's gotten to a point where I'm just like, do I really want to go in there again? Did the bridge burning start when Activision got involved? No, it was a little bit after that. It was not immediately when Activision got involved. It was after that. Rurikhan, what's your stance towards Fallout games, especially? I think that Fallout 76 was a piece of garbage when it came out. It was really fun for a couple of days, but then you realize that you're just following in the footsteps of dead people for some strange, fucked up reason, which doesn't make any goddamn sense. But they've recently, not recently, they've added NPCs a while ago. They've been adding a bunch of stuff to that game, so I don't know what that game is like now. But that's another one where they've burned me at the beginning, and I was like, whatever. Fallout 4 was fun, but I'm not a big fan of the Fallout universe, personally. And, I know that people right now are super excited about it because of the Fallout TV show, whatever. I haven't watched the TV show, but, yeah, I don't know if I'm too interested. Hey, Rurikhan, you want to go in and do Mythic Plus with Frank? No. I most definitely do not. If I ever... Did I hurt somebody? Did I deserve this punishment? Like... I don't want to go into Mythic Plus where people are just, like, stressed out all the time and they need to clear higher keys like this is a very important thing or what is like... I don't care. I just like doing dungeons. I like doing dungeons. And I want to do the tougher challenges, but Jesus Christ, I don't want to be stressing my balls out all the goddamn time. Not sure why, but I feel nervous about Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't know why you would feel that way. Looking forward to your conversation with Tragic. Love hearing you two talk. Yep, it should be shortly after we finish up with Anvil, which will be great. It'll be great. You must follow the plan exactly. Yeah, dude. See, Mr. Tummy Giggle, some of the most fun that I've had in raiding was when we were doing Blind Prog on Pandemonium. That was a ton of fun. Doing Blind Prog, Pandemonium, phenomenal. The moment we hit the wall in P8S and we started looking things up, I instantly lost all interest. I was just like, okay, we're looking stuff up. Whatever. Not to mention that fight makes no fucking sense from an intuition standpoint whatsoever. It's like, now we're going to reverse this mechanic. But why? How are we supposed to guess? Because fucking guess it. Especially when I had to do two people's mechanics by myself. That was impressive, the way that you were calling out. You guys don't know. For a while, Mr. Tummy Giggles was calling out mechanics for our main tank. It wasn't me. I was the off tank. He had to call out the mechanics for both himself and the main tank because the main tank didn't get it. Bro, that was some funny shit. I'd forgotten about it. Was that was P3S, right? No, was it 3S? Yeah, it was Wait, was it? It was P3S, right? That was when you were calling out mechanics for our main tank. Some funny shit. Never got into Savage that much. Had fun with the extreme trials in the middle of Endwalker. Yeah. I did, I actually did, what's it called? Zero Moose. The Zero Moose trial yesterday. I got caught up in the MSQ. I'm still missing like a couple of quests because I haven't had enough time to play. But it's, bro, I was back in there, you know? I think it's the lack of Monster Hunter Wild news that worries me. I mean, they specifically said, we're going to give you news in summer. Why would you be worried? But anyways, that's a nice segue. Let's talk about Monster Hunter. Hunters, you've helped the Monster Hunter series reach the milestone of 100 million units sold worldwide. Thank you to everybody for your support over the last 20 years. We hope you're looking forward to the next generation of hunting with Monster Hunter Wilds in 2025. 100 million units for our little niche game that has been going more and more mainstream, am I right? But that's not all. We're excited to share that Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak have now sold more than 15 million and 8 million units worldwide. Here's to all your hunters who safeguard Kimura and clash with the Curio. We don't like curio crafting though, bro. Curio crafting ain't it? But Sunbreak and Rise have also been absolutely phenomenal. Now, one of the things that I would like to point out in regards to Monster Hunter is that despite the fact that we've reached this, I believe that World is coming up on almost 30 million units by now. I don't know exactly how many it's sold. We can actually check real quick. Monster Hunter World sales. Over 25 million units worldwide. Over 25 million sales of Monster Hunter World. And here's the interesting thing. We could have sold a lot more. We could have sold, and I say we could have sold, I mean Capcom could have sold a lot more. This was reported, by the way, on March 12th. But Capcom could have actually sold a lot more units than 25 million. They could have sold a lot more units than 25 million. And the thing about that is, if you guys remember, when it came to the release of Monster Hunter World, first it released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox, and it took them a very long time before they actually released on PC. Let me see how long it was. Monster Hunter World PS4 release, January 2018. Yeah, it was like the 21st or 28th or something like that. But yeah, January 2018. Windows version following August 2018. So that was a 7-month lag between versions of the game. 7-month lag between the console version of the game and the PC version of the game. And even when they released the PC version of the game, it was not updated to the same level as the consoles. And this is one of the things that I feel like a lot of companies actually underestimate the power of day and date. They really underestimate this, and it definitely showed with Monster Hunter World, because we could have sold more, but at the same time, we could have also sold less. Now, for those of you that aren't too familiar with the Monster Hunter franchise, maybe you came in during Monster Hunter World or something like that, so you aren't aware, but Monster Hunter used to be first re-released in Japan, and then a year later, you might get another version to the West. And that's not all the time, because sometimes what would end up happening is like they would skip one of the base versions of the game, and then they would only release the ultimate version when it came to the West. That's also something that happened for a lot of Monster Hunter releases. So it was even more than 1 year delay before getting from Japan over to the West. And again, that really kind of like lowers your sales figures, because gamers in general value day and date way more than people give it credit for. Which is something that I've noticed. Like, a lot of these publishers, right, they'll release games later on the PC platform, or they'll release later on some other console platform or something like that because of some temporary exclusivity deal. And the reality is, you lose way more sales than you initially predict because the amount of buzz that you get for a day-and-date release is phenomenal. And this was instantly proven just with the global release of Monster Hunter World, which was, in my opinion, is one of the main reasons why it was as good as it was. I mean, obviously, it's also a very good game, but, you know, besides it being a good game, I would wager that one of the biggest factors in how big it was simply global release for consoles. And keep in mind, that wasn't day and date in PC. If they had done Monster Hunter World day and date PC and consoles, I would argue that by now they would have sold 40 million units instead of 25. I would argue they would sold way more units. And it was the same thing for Rise and Sunbreak. Rise and Sunbreak was actually even worse, and you can kind of see that they suffered in terms of sales because of it, because they sold 15 million of Rise and 8 million units of Sunbreak, but it suffered even more because first it was exclusive on Switch, then it was Switch and PC, and only later it became Switch, PC, and consoles. Now, I'm super happy that the game is now everywhere and everybody can enjoy it, but there's no denying that you miss out on the whole community vibe of everybody playing the game at the same time, regardless of platform. It didn't even need crossplay, which it still doesn't have, even though that would have been a fantastic feature to have. Crossplay, cross-save, cross-progression, all of that good stuff, right? Those would have been fantastic things to have. But it didn't even need that. It just needed to release simultaneously on all platforms, because just the whole discourse online would have been more powerful and would have ensured even more sales for them. And again, it is the power of day and date, and a lot of people underestimate the power of day and date. And that is one of the things that is going to be coming with Monster Hunter Wilds. It's going to be releasing on all platforms simultaneously, and I predict that that is going to be potentially the biggest release ever for a Monster Hunter game. They would have to mess up phenomenally in the marketing of this game to not achieve the best ever debut of a Monster Hunter game, because it's coming off of the accolades of Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. At the same time, there's also Rise and Sunbreak, even though those were not quite as well embraced by certain people in the community, which is understandable because not everybody understands that, you know, Monster Hunter hasn't always been like Monster Hunter World. They've always had like these more handheld type of titles, and that is actually what made the game as big as it is. But fundamentally, Wilds, I predict, is going to be the biggest launch ever of Monster Hunter, and now it's just up to the team to actually deliver a phenomenal game. We still don't know a lot of information about it. We're supposed to be getting news around the summer. We shall see how that stuff pans out, but I'm excited. I'm excited, dude. I think it's going to be awesome. A lot of those sales are free downloads from PS Plus, though. If it's more than 10%, I will be shocked. If it's more than 10% of the 25 million, I think there's no way that it's more than 10%. That those are coming from the free PSN stuff. There is no way. Capcom said they focus PC, but see Enigma on the rise, so yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the DRM stuff that they put on the game. I'm not a fan of it. But I would assume if they're still going down those lines, probably they have data that would indicate that they need to do it, which it just fucking sucks. It just fucking sucks. I don't know what the data is on any of that stuff, but I don't like it either. I don't like the forced DRM, especially shit like the Nuvo, because they also have the Nuvo on there. And the Nuvo is just hot garbage, dude. Will Monster Hunter Wild still have DRM? I would expect so. I would expect it to have DRM. What's the chance we get more info on Summer Games Fest? I think we get more info on Summer Games Fest, and I think that Capcom will probably do their own event as well. The Japanese are a bit weirder about DRM on PC because it's a newish market for them. I don't know. What's up, buddy? How's your Mother Day goes? It's not Mother's Day in Portugal. Mother's Day was... When was Mother's Day? It was like a week ago already. And ironically can't wait to see my For You page filled with Monster Hunter content. Yeah, dude. It's really good. But yeah, dude, I think it's gonna be good. I have high hopes for Monster Hunter Wilds. High expectations. I think they're gonna knock it out of the park. If there's one thing that I have a fear of is monetization.
So grossly
That's the biggest fear that I have for Monster Hunter Wilds is gonna be the monetization. Ark, thank you very much. Whoa! I lost the grip on my hat. Oh my god, I lost the grip on my hat. I'm so tired from my workout today. Ark, thank you very much for being Rose for 26 months. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Pro streamer, by the way. Rurikhan, you're looking healthy, my dude. Appreciate your content. Hope all is well with you and fam. Doing good, Zach. Doing good. What do you guess is a new weapon? If I had to, like, give a guess, it'd probably be the Tonfas. I think the Tonfas make the most sense. I think Magnetic Spike is maybe a little bit too crazy looking for them to add into Monster Hunter Wilds, but Tonfas I think makes sense. I don't know if they'll try to add 2 weapons, but I think if we're getting anything, most likely it's going to be Tonfas. But as I was saying, yeah, monetization is my biggest concern when it comes to Monster Hunter Wilds because they've been very aggressive with the monetization on Rise and Sunbreak, particularly in terms of, like, you know, the Lost Code weapons and the fluffy weapons and all of that, which to me pushed the line a little bit too much, like I've mentioned in the past. So that's really my only concern. And also, I'll be curious to see if they're trying to make it a live service game. I hope they don't. I would want the next Monster Hunter to be the same business model that we had for World. That is, we release a game, we update it for a couple of months, then we stop, we release an ultimate expansion, we update that for a couple of months, and then we stop. Because to me, that is the ideal model because it allows the developers to focus their creativity on a new title in the future instead of, you know, things becoming stale and just like, let's keep pushing this thing forever. Teleportation will be pay to play? No, come on now. Come on now. Wait, did they confirm new weapon? No, they haven't confirmed anything. People were just asking me what were my predictions for new weapon, and it would probably be Tonfas, I think. Okay, let's talk about Square Enix. Square Enix is not doing so hot, which I find particularly funny because I almost feel like the headline for this article from Eurogamer is pretty much what we said last time that we talked about Square Enix, isn't it? Didn't we do a Cons Anvil here on the channel where I talked about Square Enix? We talked about how they apparently lost $130 million because they were canceling a bunch of profits, a bunch of projects, and the reason was they're like, oh, our games didn't sell that well. And what I distinctly remember saying this. I was like, well, maybe, just maybe, you should have sold it in more platforms, particularly the PC platform. Like, PCs are popping off right now. PCs are completely popping off. That's what I've been noticing a lot. Chief Hellhunter, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Really hope they make weapons with unique art styles, which was a letdown in World. Also, for Monster Unique to Rise, Sunbreak was added. Which one would you choose? The Monster Unique to Rise and Sunbreak was added to Wilds, it would be Garangolm. Garangolm was my favorite one of the four main monsters of Rise. 4 or 3? I forget. I think it was 3, right? The 3 kings. Yeah. It would be Garangolm. Garangolm's a beast. Love it. Fantastic. But anyways, getting back to Square Enix. I believe we even specifically said, like, listen, you should be releasing on more platforms if you want to make more money. It's just that simple. But basically, this is a Eurogamer article. Square Enix aggressively pursuing new multi-platform strategy after reports that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth underperformed on PlayStation, profits declining. Square Enix is aggressively pursuing a multi-platform strategy, including Nintendo platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PCs. I think the biggest thing here, where they have the biggest room for growth, is definitely on the PC market. The company's new medium-term business plan was shared today alongside its latest financial report and follows news of both a review of its development system and the abandonment of £112 million in development projects, which we talked about earlier, the $140 million. The multi-platform strategy is part of a move to diversify earning opportunities and aims to allow more customers to enjoy our titles in regards to major franchises and AAA games, including catalog titles. I think that this is definitely an important thing. Now, the problem with this is now they're going to release Rebirth on PC, and they're going to be like, oh, it didn't sell as much as we were expecting because, again, it wasn't day and date. They can't think about this as in, oh, we'll have like maybe a 1-month exclusivity. You know, we'll drop the exclusivity period a little bit. No, it needs to be day and date. Gamers don't like to be treated as second-class citizens because they're on a different platform. There are people that will straight up not buy your game out of spite if it comes out a couple of months later down the line because you made a deal with another publisher or something like that. So to me, this is one of the things that Square Enix definitely needs to nail. They need to do day and date. Like, look at the vision of Yoshi P, okay? Yoshi P did not compromise at all. It was like, listen, Final Fantasy XIV, if it releases on the Xbox, it's going to have crossplay, it's going to have all of the things, or it doesn't release at all. It's that simple. That's the way it goes. It's on PC, it's on PlayStation, it all works. You know, the friggin' expansions launch simultaneously on all platforms. There's no delay. There's nothing. It's like, here's the game. Everybody plays. Same servers. Go, go, go. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Right? That's what they've done. And that's what the rest of Square Enix needs to do. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that Yoshi P would have wanted to release Final Fantasy XVI on PC as well. However, naturally, you know, Square Enix goes and wrings a couple of $1 million out of Sony, guaranteed money, as opposed to taking a chance on the PC platform. They're scared of the PC platform for whatever reason, but just like, look at Helldivers. You think that a majority of the users in Helldivers are coming from, you know, a majority of the sales, which we're going to be talking about Helldivers sales a little bit later down the line in the show, but you think that a majority of those sales are going to be console? I'm pretty sure a majority of those sales are actually PC. PCs are very much popping off right now. And it's a very important platform that you do not want to neglect. And more importantly, you do not want its, you know, gamers on the PC side of things to feel like second-class citizens, because you've already seen that we voice our opinions pretty friggin' loudly. As it turns out, Soon as Soul Silver, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. Exactly. This is why I didn't buy the PlayStation 5, because of the Monster Hunter World timely exclusive, and I will never forgive them for that. It wasn't just PlayStation 5. It wasn't just PlayStation, though. Monster Hunter World was also on Xbox, wasn't it? Didn't it launch day and date PlayStation and Xbox, I think? But it did have PlayStation exclusive content like the Horizon Zero Dawn stuff and whatnot. They're scared because of piracy, even though it's not a huge issue anymore. I would argue it's probably somewhat of an issue, and to be honest, the way that PlayStation is operating, they're going to ensure that piracy becomes much more popular in the coming years. As Gabe Newell mentioned, piracy is a service problem. If you make it more convenient for people to buy games than to pirate them, they'll buy them. But if you make it inconvenient, like, say, blocking your game in 180 countries... guess what people are going to do? You wage the advantages of, like, you know, I could buy a VPN so that I can break Sony's terms of service, so that I can illegally purchase the game in a territory where it's not supported, or I could pirate it. What do you think people are going to do? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyways, Square Enix's biggest releases in recent years have been console exclusive to PlayStation, including the likes of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy XVI, and Forspoken, with PC releases either alongside or in the pipeline. Man, Forspoken, not even the PC release saved that one. Holy crap. While no specific games are identified here, it suggests that some of the company's biggest could make their way to Xbox in the future, or perhaps Switch too. At least Square Enix's biggest game, Final Fantasy XIV, made its way to Xbox recently, which is a good thing, even though Microsoft basically milked Final Fantasy XIV fans. It ringed them, like straight up, just like, give me all your money, because it charges them for the online, the online Xbox Live, whatever the hell it's called, and then they also get charged by the monthly fee that they have to pay to access Final Fantasy XIV, which, by the way, on the PlayStation side of things is not the same thing. On the PlayStation side of things, you only have to pay the monthly fee. You don't have to pay for PlayStation Plus in order to play Final Fantasy XIV, which I found interesting because I feel like a lot of people on the Xbox side of things, when it was announced that this was going to be, they were like, it's the same thing on PlayStation. No, actually it's not, sir. Sorry. The strategy will maximize digital sales of new titles, as well as pursue initiatives designed to win over PC users. Yes, this is very important. Again, one of the most important things in here, I would definitely say, is day and date. Day and date. No messing around, no 1 week delay, no staggered releases. Day and date. Because, now I'm basically saying it because it seems like they've been hearing what people have said about, hey, you guys should probably release on more platforms, because that was the talking point that everybody said when they were like, oh man, we're losing so much money. And people are like, have you considered releasing on other platforms? And they're like, okay, we're going to release on other platforms. Okay, now the other thing you guys got to do is it needs to be day and date. Okay? Extremely important. I don't need PlayStation Plus to play Final Fantasy XIV. No, you don't. You don't. I don't know why people thought that was the case. So, no, you don't. Unless that's changed over the last month or so, but I'm pretty sure you never did. Actually, tell you what, we can just instantly Google it. Do you need PlayStation Plus to play Final Fantasy XIV on PlayStation? No. There you go. No. So you don't need PlayStation Plus. And like I said, I already knew that you didn't, because pretty much anything that has a monthly fee on PlayStation, you don't need to have PlayStation Plus in order to play that game. And free-to-play games is the same thing. So, like, for instance, you don't need PlayStation Plus to play Warframe, which is another misconception that I think a lot of people have. If you're playing Warframe on PlayStation, you don't need PlayStation Plus. Which, again, we can fact-check real quick. Do I need PS Plus to play Warframe? PlayStation Plus is not required to play those games. This is a Quora answer? Why does this game require PlayStation Plus? Wait, huh? Don't worry about it. You don't need PS Plus. Yeah, like I said, you don't need it. Free-to-play games don't require PlayStation Plus. The shift to multi-platform also includes mobile games, which will not only release on iOS and Android, which doesn't fucking matter, but PC too. Actually, that's a bad thing. You should keep your mobile garbage away from PC, is my opinion, but, whatever. Mobile gacha game, Final Fantasy Ever Crisis, is already set for a Steam release. Gotcha. Square Enix also leverage IP across media formats, suggesting the likes of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest could be seen more outside of games. The company's new development pipeline will shift from quantity to quality, balancing developer creativity with data from customers and the wider market. AAA releases will be released regularly, while mid-class titles will prioritize profitability. As such, it will be bold in creating new franchises to prioritize novel forms of excitement. balanced with earnings potential. All of this to focus on creating unforgettable experiences, marketing, talk for good games. So why all this change? It's due to declining profits. The last financial year saw an increase in net sales of games of 1%, but a decrease in profit from games of 38%. Games like 16, 7 Rebirth, and the Pixel remasters boosted sales, but a year-on-year decline in MMO and mobile games, plus high development costs accounted for the loss of profit. What other MMOs do they have besides 14? Because the thing about 14 is that it's very much a seasonal game. You play it during the expansions and major patches, but outside of that, the population is going to lower significantly. No specific sales are given, but 7 Rebirth has reportedly underperformed despite being the 4th biggest game in the US so far this year. Like I said, the biggest problem with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is that they're never going to recoup that cost at this point. Because even if you were to release it on PC right now, it would probably sell a couple of million copies, but not nearly as much as it would have sold if it had released day and date. It's just that simple. A lot of companies are underestimating the value of day and date, and they are doing so at their own peril. Also, naturally, bad news never comes alone, so Square Enix confirms US and Europe layoffs as part of restructuring. Square Enix is set to make an unconfirmed number of layoffs as part of ongoing company restructuring, it told staff in an internal meeting on Monday, VGC understands. According to people who were in attendance, Square Enix President Takashi Kiryu said that both the company's American and European arms would be hit with layoffs, which will happen over the course of the next month. Scale of the layoffs wasn't shared, but staff were told that people working in publishing, IT, and Square Enix Collective Indie Games division will be predominantly affected. Interesting. They're getting rid of people in publishing. It's also because they canceled a bunch of projects, so they don't need as much in their publishing arm, I would imagine. But yeah, those impacted will be informed this week, staff were told. In the UK, employees will enter into a 1-month consultancy period as per local employment law, while US-based staff could leave their roles before June. Following the internal meetings on Monday, many of Square Enix's main Slack channels were locked. The layoffs coincided with publication of the company's quarterly financial results today, in which Square Enix said it plans to rebuild overseas business divisions from the ground up and has begun optimizing costs at its European and American offices via structural reforms. Kiryu, who was appointed to Final Fantasy firm's new boss as of June 2023, has been enacting a large-scale reorganization of Square Enix's development efforts in an effort to reverse recent disappointing sales of its biggest games. The problem is not in your development efforts. The problem is that you're taking PlayStation money to only release games on the PlayStation platform, which has not been as popular over the last couple of years, as we're going to be talking about a little bit ahead in the show as well. In Japan, Square Enix recently promoted a new group of creators to executive officers and placed checks on producers' influence over individual projects, according to Bloomberg. Earlier today, Square Enix published a new medium-term business plan. Yeah, this is the stuff that we already talked about. Yep, aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo platforms. Again, the problem is not with your development teams. 7 Rebirth is a pretty good game from what I could tell. I haven't finished it. I only played like around 10 hours of it because it was a really busy launch window when I was covering Dragon's Dogma. I had to fly out to the UK, do all of this other stuff, so I didn't have as much time to cover 7 Rebirth, but for all intents and purposes, everybody who's played it says the game is phenomenal, which is cool. So it's like the problem is not in your development team, the problem is in your release strategy, your publishing strategy, right? We have some more stuff here, which this is about their investors report, investors meeting or whatever it was, and this dude was present, Takashi Mochizuki, he's a reporter, Game and Tech at Bloomberg, and he says what they said was Final Fantasy XVI sales fell short of expectations. Initial momentum was in line with expectations, but the games failed to reach fiscal year goal as its momentum slowed. You know that part of this is because a lot of people started bad-mouthing 16 despite the game being absolutely phenomenal, and I will fight anyone who says it wasn't. People are like, it's not a real Final Fantasy game. Shut the fuck up. It's a phenomenal game. What's your problem, bro? Like, I swear, there's a lot of people nowadays that, I understand having high standards. I completely agree. You should have high standards. The problem is that nowadays, there's a couple of individuals online that just have completely unreasonable standards. if you're going to say that Final Fantasy 16 is a bad game, I would like to know what's a good game for you. That's what I would like to know. I would like to ask anybody who says 16 is a bad game. Okay, what's a good game for you then? What exactly are you looking for? I completely disagree. I've been replaying Final Fantasy 16 in Final Fantasy mode. The game is fucking phenomenal. I haven't played the DLCs yet. I actually just reached the point where I can go play the DLCs now. But yeah, it's insanity. No updates from sales number last announced at 3 million. It only sold 3 million units, bro. Again, day and date on PC, that number would have doubled. 1,000,000%, it would have doubled. Day and date on PC, you would be looking at 6 million sales minimum. Probably more. Probably more. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth fell short of expectations. Initial momentum didn't reach an internal target. No sales number to share. Again, day and date PC, boom. Now, I used to also be like, you should release it on the Xbox platform, but to be honest, after the recent Xbox blunders, I hate to say this, but like, bro, I'm sorry. If you're on the Xbox platform, but like, fuck Microsoft, dude. Nah, bro. Like, the way that they've been conducting themselves, fuck them. I think they're actually, it's gotten to a point where their simple existence is actually a net negative in gaming at this point. So, no. PlayStation, PC, if you can release it on the Switch, do that too. But I'm done simping for Xbox, bro. I'm done. Xbox can go away. It'll be interesting to look at their, they're going to have like a June presentation, which we'll look at. It'll be interesting to see what they're doing there. I want to play Avowed and a bunch of other stuff, but anyways, that's unrelated. So, yeah. Foam Stars fell short of expectations. You mean we have Splatoon at home? Initial momentum didn't reach an internal target, no sales number to share. I mean, nobody really asked for Splatoon at home. I feel like Splatoon itself isn't even that popular outside of the Nintendo platform, and you expect it to out-Splatoon that? Good luck. Remains confident Final Fantasy XVI can achieve its goal over the original 18-month sales plan. Let me tell you something. You want to sell Final Fantasy XVI copies? Release that bitch on the PC. Put it on the PC. And here's the interesting thing about putting it on the PC. They probably have like, you know, an exclusivity contract that Sony is going to enforce or something like that. But here's the interesting thing about the PC thing, right? Right now, if you put it on the PC right now, you'll sell a couple of copies. You won't sell as much as if you had put it on PC since the beginning. The longer you wait, the less copies you're going to sell. Also, sales of Rebirth and Foam Stars aren't necessarily bad. Reorganized development team into 5 console teams, 1 smartphone team. I don't like this reorganization of development teams. And let me tell you why. Don't you fucking touch Creative Business Unit 3, man. Don't you... It's like Kiryu goes in with his grubby little mitts going like, ooh, Creative Business Unit 3. And I just go like... Get your grubby little mitts away from Creative Business Unit 3, goddammit! That's Yoshi P's unit. That's Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy 16. You stay away from that team, dude. Do not fuck with a winning team right now. Reorganized development team with 5 console teams, 1 smartphone game team. You should get rid of this one. I mean, obviously, I can't stand mobile games, so whatever. Has been relied too much on an individual's creativity. Will promote sharing, game making, how? I'm assuming it means know-how among teams, and will seek best balance of individual creativity and organizational discipline. Dragon Quest XII remains under development. Investors react by heavily selling their shares, so that's not good. Stocks fell to the day's trading limit. Concerns or pipelines have become too empty. No big titles that can lift up the company's top line over the next couple of years. The biggest thing that they've got coming, as far as I'm aware, is they have Visions of Mana coming in the summer. They have Dawn Trail. What else? What else do they even have right now? I mean, obviously, in the next couple of years, they're going to have the third part of the trilogy of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but yeah, it'll be rough. It'll be rough. Unfortunately, the recent FF games are selling notably less than prior titles. Like I said, I think that the situation is also that a lot of people are moving on from consoles at this point because you're late into the console's life cycle. This is actually something that I feel kind of always happen later in the console's life cycles. People start moving to PC because, like, well, the console's not giving me all the performance that I want, and I want more frames, and I want more things, and, you know, people move on to PC. Now, the problem with moving to PC is that not a lot of people can afford to move to PC right now. So obviously there's huge gambles there. So the numbers are not as easy as, oh, there's a lot of people coming into PC right now. But a very important thing is that one of the things I feel that people want consoles for is for being able to have a physical version of a game. I mean, obviously, a big part of owning a console is like the convenience aspect, as well as the price point. Price point, convenience, that's the biggest selling point of consoles, which is really cool because they do provide pretty good price to the bang for your buck ratio, much more than PCs because, you know, PCs are just giga expensive. And I understand with a PC you can do way more things and whatnot, but if you just want a game, a console is a much better value proposition, in my personal opinion. But another aspect of consoles is also the fact that you can purchase a physical version of a game. At least for me, that is a big thing. And that is one of the reasons why I've recently decided to start moving away from consoles, is because, you know, a lot of the publishers that are publishing games on consoles, they're moving away from physical versions. Like, bro, if I don't have a physical version of the game, I might as well just have the game on Steam. If it's going to be digital, I'll just have it on Steam. Because at least there I can get the deep discounts all the goddamn time, and it's just easier to manage everything. And I get a lot of things baseline without having to pay for them, like cloud saves and other convenient features, right? So it's like, if I'm not going to be able to own games, if I'm going to have to go to the digital realm one way or the other, I would rather do that on the PC side of things than on the console side of things. I've still been buying physical versions of games, but mostly it's been for the Switch, which appears to be the only company that is still kind of like, you know, Nintendo still appeared to be the only ones that are like, no, we still want to deliver physical versions of games. Like, for instance, the fucking, whatchamacallit, the game that's going to come out from Ubisoft, that's not, you're going to need to download it from the internet, even if you buy the physical version. And there's way more games that are like that nowadays, which is just friggin' stupid. Sharks F6, thank you very much for becoming grossly incandescent. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you. But yeah, dude, that's the way that I've been looking at things. And that's why I've been, you know, focusing a little bit more on PC recently, even though I love consoles. I think consoles are phenomenal. But the way that a lot of these companies have been doing business is just not particularly good. And things continue to get worse, because if we look here, and this is one of the things that I was talking about, which is why you really probably don't want to be doing exclusivity deals right now. PlayStation 5 sales couldn't reach Sony's revised targets, and Sony expects sales to drop even more. Sony has sold a lot of PlayStation 5 consoles, but not as many as it wanted, and it's bracing for the decline to continue. Things aren't looking especially good for PlayStation at the moment, though Sony doesn't appear to be suffering quite like its major competitor Microsoft. Oh yeah, Microsoft. That's a whole nother can of worms. The company's PlayStation business simply isn't doing as well as it used to. PlayStation 5 hardware sales in the financial year that just ended have missed projections. You know, a big part of that is also because they don't have a lot of exclusives coming. Like, a lot of the stuff that they have has already been released. And after Sony lowered its expectation by a couple of million, the sales dip represents a whopping 29% year-over-year slump in Q4. Recent months clearly haven't been kind to PlayStation. And on top of it, PlayStation decided to invest in VR for a little bit there, which was so weird. I really didn't expect that. I even received the review unit. I have the review unit right there. But then it seems like they dropped out of that instantly. So it's like they came out with the PSVR thing, released a bunch of games on it, and then didn't do anything else. And I was like, what is this strategy? This is so weird. But yeah, Sony revealed this morning as part of its full year 2023 report that PS5 sales have taken a big hit and will continue on a downward trend. Of course, this is why they're going to do a refresh of hardware, PlayStation 5 Pro, probably right over the horizon. Over the course of the fiscal year ending in March 31st, Sony sold 20 million PS5 consoles, which failed to meet its revised 21 million target. I mean... Oh yeah, but this was the revised target. They had way more initially. Fiscal year 2024 ending March 2025, Sony expects to sell even fewer units, projecting just 18 million. Cumulative PS5 sales stand at a very respectable 59.2 million, so it's not like the console is struggling, but the drop is perceptible, especially after the company lowered its projections in anticipation, only to narrowly miss them. Again, we also had a big boon because of the pandemic, so that probably played a role in their initial projections. In February, Sony cut 900 jobs and closed down its London studio. Bro, the cuts were likely made to lessen the efforts of the drop in sales and profitability, and they'll forever be remembered as the final act of a former Sony Interactive Entertainment president and CEO, Jim Ryan. Sony did not touch on its hardware plans for the new fiscal year in the report, but PS5 Pro rumors and leaks have been relentless. The upgraded console is expected to arrive this fall, so we're closer than ever to a proper reveal. Here's the thing. I'm not sure if that would be... Because, like, I remember when the PS4 Pro came out, I bought one, like, day one. I'm not sure if I'm getting a PS5 Pro. I mean, if I receive a review unit, sure, I'll check it out, I'll review it, do all the things. But buying it, I don't know. I don't know if that's in the cards. I don't know if that's in the cards for me. And then we also have some more news from PlayStation. Sony has announced who will replace Jim Ryan as company's CEO, and it's going to be two CEOs. It's going to be Herman Holst and Hideaki Nishino, who are going to step up to new leadership roles. In his new role, Holst will be responsible for all first-party PlayStation game content. This is the guy from Guerrilla Games, right, if I remember correctly, as well as bringing its franchises to new mediums such as film and television. Holst has served as head of PlayStation Studios and previously led developer Guerrilla Games. Yeah, exactly. He's now the head of PlayStation. Guerrilla was acquired by Sony in 2005. Since then, the studio has become best known for its work on the Horizon series, which are phenomenal. Thrilled to lead the studio business group and continue to build on our success with PlayStation 5 while preparing for the future. Holst said in the statement, the video game industry is one of the largest entertainment industries in the world. It is the largest entertainment industry in the world, I think, and it has been built on the marriage of content and technology, and I look forward to continue to push the boundaries of play and entertainment. Nishino, meanwhile, is previously the SVP of Sony's Platform Experience Group. He will continue to oversee technology, products, services, and platform experience as part of his new role as CEO of the company's platform business group. In addition, he will oversee third-party publisher and developer relations and commercial operations. This will include sales and marketing of hardware, services, and peripherals. So, it seems that basically the idea is a two-pronged approach where Holst is going to be going after software and Nishino is going to be going after hardware. They're going to have to be very well coordinated because this is a key part of it. It is, when it comes to consoles, software designed specifically for the hardware of the console is where you see the real advantage of owning a console. So having these two be separate, like I said, they need to really be very well coordinated. Honored to be appointed such an important role alongside Herman. By working more closely together, we'll be positioned to build an incredible experience for an ever-expanding audience now and in the future. Blah, 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 blah. Now, an interesting question that I have, which is something that I never really looked into, but I definitely have to ask. Why is Sony's headquarters in California, but the previous CEO was from London, and the new CEO, I don't know where Herman Holst is from. It's probably like some Nordic country. Like, where's Guerrilla Games headquarters? It's in the Netherlands. So Herman Holst is in the Netherlands. So the previous CEO was in London. The new one is in the Netherlands, and the other one is in Japan. It's so weird. They should have never went to California. I agree. I agree. Sony should have, the headquarters should have stayed in Japan. But yeah, PlayStation is also struggling. And we're going to be talking about Microsoft soon enough. Sheesh. Stuff is weird. Their quality has gone down. Europe and US is priority number 1 for Sony. I mean, listen, From Software's in Japan. Their games sell just fucking fine in the West. Don't they? So, it's like it doesn't matter if their priority is Europe and the US. Why does their headquarters need to be in California if they're a Japanese company? From Software is in Japan. And their games sell fine. Nintendo is also in Japan. Their games also sell fine in the West. Nintendo rubbing hands in the corner of the room watching Sony and Microsoft fumbling hard. Yeah. How is it struggling? Were you not paying attention? They're missing their marks in terms of how many consoles they're selling. On top of it, they're completely obliterating their PC market, which we're going to be talking about as well. It's insane. Rurikhan, did Elden Ring felt different to you with patches? It feels easier, but I don't know if that's just because I know where things are and I know how to play the game better now that I've played it like 5 or 6 times. But the recent live streams that I've been doing definitely feel easier than my first 3 or 4 playthroughs that I've done. Way easier. I know this isn't relevant, but I just beat Xenojiva in Monster Hunter World. Good on you, dude. Seems like ever since they moved to USA, more focus on a cinematic experience and less on gameplay. No, there's plenty of gameplay experiences on PlayStation. There's also some cinematic stuff. Mario Kart 8, one game from Nintendo, sold more than every PS4 and PS5 exclusive combined. Let that sink in. It's the simplicity, right? And I don't mean to say that Mario Kart is simple, because it's not. It actually has a ton of complexity to it if you really want to be good at Mario Kart. But it's just a game that you can pick up and play. So it's, not to mention it's got like years and years of, you know. PS2 was Sony's best. AAA games are also unsustainable at present. Hundreds of millions of dollars isn't that straightforward to make back, hence all the job cuts. AAA gaming is definitely in a weird situation because AA gaming is coming for their lunch right now. Like, I still stand by my game of the year last year being Remnant 2. Remnant 2 is fucking phenomenal game. It's a AA game. It's not a AAA game. You know? I've actually asked this straight to Tragedy. Would you guys consider Remnant 2 to be a AAA game? It's like, fuck no. It's a AA game. So it's like AA games are kind of like taken over in a way. Sony's lineup is really suffering from overblown budgets because it doesn't leave much room for smaller games for people to enjoy in between the big AAA prestige games. I don't know, dude. I just think there's more to it. I think there's even more to it. There's just something feels off about the consoles right now. And I say this as someone that actually generally prefers to play video games on consoles. What about quadruple A games? Yeah. No Rest for the Wicked will be gaudy. I'm not sure that I would put early access games in Game of the Year category. You could have like a best early access game category, and then I would definitely say that No Rest for the Wicked is probably the best one. I just heard that the Perfect Dark game is going to get canceled. Oof. That sucks. I remember playing that at the house of a friend of mine. Perfect Dark was a ton of fun. Or let's be honest, if Capcom releases Freedom 4 with the same style PSP graphics, you would play the shit out of it, right? I would be more interested in playing 4 Ultimate than Freedom Unite, personally. But yeah, I would still play Freedom Unite. But I would want 4 Ultimate. 4 Ultimate's the one that I really want to play. Stellar Blade is technically a AA game. You're crazy, dude. No. Stellar Blade is 100% a AAA game. think it's generally cronyism, nepotism, corporate greed, and comedy over artistic. I don't know what comedy would you mean by that. Artistic freedom or whatever that's infected the gaming industry. There's definitely something with the higher ups just being absolute fucking greed-filled individuals. BG3 was an early access game though, Ruri. Yeah, but it released. It was Game of the Year when it released. Keep that in mind. The version of that game that won Game of the Year was 1.0. It was not the early access version. I'm not saying that early access games can never go up for Game of the Year. I'm saying I would want them to release before they become Game of the Year. AAA, too many cooks in the kitchen, not in development necessarily, but in the higher-ups. Yeah. Will Stellar Blade come to PC? I hope so. I definitely hope so. What makes a game AAA? Is it whoever funds them, the publisher? I think what makes a game AAA is, in big part, the budget. I think the budget is definitely one of the biggest things that decides whether or not a game is AAA. The budget, the price, and the scope. I would say that's what make a game AAA. One day Star Citizen will win Game of the Year when it releases. Bro, Star Citizen has won an award every year in my book. There's a special award that I have for Star Citizen for every year that it's been in crowdsourcing, which has been pretty much since its inception in Kickstarter. And afterwards, it's always been in crowdsourcing. And that category is Scam of the Year. It always wins number one. Star Citizen. Every year. The Scam of the Year, dude. Have you played V Rising? No, I don't like vampires. My wife forced me to watch the Twilight movies, and now I hate vampires forever. The only good vampire is Blade. And that's because he's only half vampire. And because he kills other vampires. So that's cool. But overall, I've become averse to vampires because I was forced to watch Twilight. Ruri is Team Jacob. I'm Team Kill 'em all. I'm Team Kill the wolves and the vampires. Fucking butcher everyone. That's my team. What about Vampire Survivors? I haven't really played Vampire Survivors, to be honest. Dark Souls is not AAA then. It wasn't when it released. Dark Souls was not AAA. Yeah, I don't think Dark Souls would be considered AAA. It's AAA in my heart. Elden Ring is definitely AAA, though. People don't realize that Star Citizen is literally inventing the tech that they are using to build a game. I think it deserves some slack. Listen, J-Chub. When your game is selling packs that cost more than $1,000, let that sink in. $1,000, like they're actually selling you spaceships for $1,000. And once you spend those $1,000, they change the store page specifically for you and now start showing you other things that costs tens of thousands of dollars. You get absolutely no fucking slack from me with that level of greed. Like, there's absolutely zero slack. Bulbasaur, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. Bought Summer Games Fest tickets, hoping to see Monster Hunter Wilds news in person. Damn! What are your bets it actually happens there and not in a different event? I think it will happen there. I'm like 80% on there will be some stuff there. But I think there will also be a separate event. Kind of like, you guys know the developer... What do we used to call those? Developer Directs? I forget. But you guys know the ones that we had for Monster Hunter World? I think we're going to get one of those. So yeah. Not to mention that game was supposed to have released literally 11 years ago. 11 years ago. Let that sink in. Dev Diaries, exactly. That's what they were called, Mizzen. New trailer plus Dev Diaries announcement. Exactly. That's what we're going to see at the Summer Games Fest. That would be my prediction anyways. So, as we're midway through the show, I would like to give a special shout out to the Longbeards that are supporting the channel on the Longbeard tier. Jet Black Ninja, James Cheek 7507, Slim Iron, C Manta, Kaled Sele, Red Pig Bank, Astron RH, Rambo the Nerd, Saphirian, John Coombs, Bloody Pinguino 7, Peg 83, Stikaz Norsk, Lord Snake, Pizza Man Invaded, Mizzen Jamal, Angry Scott's Dad 23, Alex S, Robert 396, and Shelby Necko. Thank you very much for the support, as Longbeards. Appreciate you. Appreciate ya. Shout outs to the Longbeards. But Ruru, you gotta pay for making this tech demo. Yeah, it's sure thing. Not to mention, you want to know what's the biggest, like, I think the most delusional take that I hear from people when it comes to Star Citizen is whenever I say that the game is pay to win. I kid you not. People will fold themselves into a fucking pretzel like that. No, it's not. You can buy all the ships in the game. Where's the advantage? You can buy them all. And I was like, yes, you can also buy them all for real money. You think somebody's $10,000 ship is going to be weaker than your little piece of trash that you're going to get when you start the game? You think somebody's $10,000 ship is going to be weaker than yours? I swear to God, dude, it's next level delusion. Next level delusion, dude. Oh, man. Rurikhan, since dwarves are your thing, why don't you play Deep Rock Galactic? I don't play a lot of titles that play in first person, but I've been very curious to check out that game. Considering that the second half of this year is not looking too busy right now, even though that's probably going to change next month, I might do something with Deep Rock Galactic then, but yeah, I don't know. Classic whale mentality. Yeah, exactly. I've spent so much money on it, it can't be pay to win. It can't be pay to win. There's no way. We talking about old Roberts? Yeah, bro. That game's a scam, dude. It's an absolute scam. Oh, my nose is itchy. Ugh. All right, let's talk about Microsoft. Microsoft's mystifying mismanagement. If you're a developer working for Xbox, what can you do to secure your job? This is a article at Games Industry Biz from Brendan Sinclair. Big news this week was Microsoft taking an axe to the ZeniMax Studio system. Oh, yeah. The way that they shut down Hi-Fi Rush, Developer Tango Gameworks, Redfall Studio, Arcane Austin, Mighty Doom Maker Alpha Dog Studios, and Roundhouse Studios is also going to cease to exist, with Microsoft saying that the team will join ZeniMax Online Studios. Bro, what they have done is absolute insanity over there at Microsoft. The things that has me most concerned for this industry is the lack of growth. And when you have an industry that is projected to be smaller next year in terms of players and dollars, and you got a lot of publicity, a lot of publicly traded companies that are in the industry that have to show their investors growth, because why else would somebody own a share of someone's stock if not to grow? The side of the business that then gets scrutinized is the cost side, because if you're not going to grow the revenue side, then the cost side becomes challenged. In an interview with Polygon last month, Phil Spencer says that when the growth stops, cutting costs is the way to go. I want you to pay attention that in this conversation, at no point there was any concern to talk about player experience, the artistic expression of video games, investors, growth, stonks go up. You can't go up forever. You can't. It just doesn't happen. The business is not going to keep going up in perpetuity. There's going to be highs and there's going to be lows. And what sucks about this approach that Microsoft is doing is that every time there's a low, cut everybody off. Kill them. Kill them all. Get rid of all of them. The line has to go up. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So as they close those studios, they started saying things like, these changes are grounding and prioritizing high-impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games. Blockbuster games like Starfield, which, by the way, I did enjoy Starfield to some extent. I wouldn't necessarily call it a blockbuster game. Fallout 76, you know, those blockbuster games. And beloved worlds, which you have nurtured over many decades. To double down on these franchises and invest on building new ones requires us to look across the business to identify opportunities that are best positioned for success. So basically, Matt Booty says, you know, we gotta refocus. Things are kind of like touch and go right now, so we're gonna prioritize our big blockbuster titles. Right? The interpretation that the article writer here does is, look, it's just a company getting rid of some dead weight so it can put down even more resources behind whatever it is that you're doing. We'll even invest in new franchise because it's important to dangle a carrot of creatively fulfilling work in front of you. After all, studies have been shown that people who have given up all hope tend to be less productive than those who've only given up 95% of hope. Sure, hundreds of your old co-workers' lives have been derailed, and some of them probably aren't going to bounce back from this and will be plunged into a spiral of despair that ends nowhere good. But you're still employed for the moment, and you might conceivably benefit from their misery. Isn't that great? And no, when I say you might benefit, I don't mean like with a raise or anything like that. Then you see the layoffs over there? Gestures in such a way as to cover up the net income column on the latest financial report. These are lean times, and you should be grateful you have a job at all. But you'll absolutely benefit in that the project you're assigned to might receive the staffing and resources it needs to be something special. Something that catches the industry attention and earns critical acclaim. You know, something like Hi-Fi Rush. Quote, Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with this surprise release. Xbox Games Marketing VP Aaron Greenberg in April of last year. In an Xbox staff meeting Wednesday reported by Bloomberg, Booty also praised Hi-Fi Rush and said Arcane Austin wasn't shut down because of disappointing Redfall, raising questions about whether the work developers do has any bearing at all on their continued employment. To hear Booty tell it, maybe it doesn't. Booty said the company's studios had been spread too thin, like peanut butter on bread. You know that you can just put more peanut butter. I feel like this is him trying to quote isn't there like a line in Lord of the Rings or something where Sam tells Frodo, like butter over too much bread. I think that was what he was going for, but he just went peanut butter on bread. And the leaders across the division had felt understaffed. They decided to close those studios, free up resources elsewhere, he said, a passage from the Bloomberg report. That idea was somewhat echoed in the meeting by ZeniMax head of studios, Jill Braff. It's hard to support 9 studios all across the world with a lean central team with an ever-growing plate of things to do. I think we're about to topple over. Braff says the closures will make management's jobs easier by giving them less to manage. I'm certain that's a tremendous comfort for those they just laid off and all their rank-and-file colleagues still with the company, at least until the next time management decides it's too tough to manage all these damn employees. It's absolutely insane. I don't want to seem like we're going to fill out a quota. It's not about filling spreadsheet by any means. We will, however, have an interest in studios right now that fit this criteria of 50 to 100 people who are making games on a 2 to 3 year cadence and have content that we think will be of interest to our Game Pass subscribers. That means content that is a little different from what our big AAA franchise can deliver. In a 2018 interview, Booty explicitly says the company's strategy was not fewer, bigger, better, but more smaller, and well, the intent was probably not worse, but let's say different. Of course, there would still be those big AAA franchises like Halo, Gears of War, and the like. What Booty is describing there is the ideal acquisition candidate is not far at all from Tango Gameworks. From 2014-2023, the studio released 5 games, which lines up with that 2 to 3 release cadence, 2 to 3 year release cadence. That was The Evil Within, its sequel, Ghostwire Tokyo, the short-lived mobile game Hero Dice, and a Hi-Fi Rush. The studio put out consistently well-received titles that stood out from the crowd, even if they weren't blockbuster hits. Tango Gameworks would have fit right in with the slew of studio pickups from Microsoft, dating back to its 2018 E3 presentation, where it announced the acquisitions of Ninja Theory, Playground Games, Compulsion Games, and Undead Labs purchases, which were followed within a year by Obsidian Entertainment and In Exile and Double Fine Productions. We need smaller games that give us prestige and awards. As reported by The Verge, Booty emphasized in yesterday's town hall meeting that Microsoft still wants games like the smaller, prestigious, and award-winning Hi-Fi Rush after closing Tango Gameworks. Who even knows what would please these people? They say they're focusing their resources on bigger games, then they say they need smaller games, they say they love your games, then they shut your studio down. They make more money than they've ever made before, then they cut costs repeatedly, drastically, and cruelly. They buy more studios than they can manage, so the answer is not to use that aforementioned money to hire more, perhaps better managers, but to have fewer studios so management's job can be easy. Never mind feeling secure. I'm not sure why anyone who works for Microsoft would feel anything other than the sword of Damocles hanging above their heads every moment of every day. A sword held in place not by something as tangible as hair, but by something as mercurial as an executive whim. I feel like a lot of this article describes exactly what has been going down in Microsoft, which has been absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. It's good Lord, dude. And here's the interesting thing, right? Following this, what do you think is going to happen to the other studios under Microsoft? What do you think is about to happen to Ninja Theory? What do you think is going to be happening to them? You think that Microsoft's going to go, oh, you guys released your game. Good job. Fantastic. It was a great game. It met all our key performance indicators, all of our measurements for success. Jojo Mojo, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you, dude. Thank you. I think Ninja Theory releases Hellblade 2. They keep them around for a couple of months to ensure that they patch out any potential problems that run into the game and whatnot, make the game as stable as possible. And then you're fucking gone, dude. You're gone. You're fucking gone. You have a single player game? Fantastic. You're gone. You think Microsoft's going to be investing all of this on you? Because one of the main reasons, by the way, why this is happening in Microsoft right now is because they purchased Activision Blizzard for $70 billion and the operating costs are absolutely insane. And the thing is, Activision Blizzard brings in a lot more revenue than a lot of these other studios. So therefore, Activision Blizzard effectively becomes the standard, and they're just like, damn variety. We don't need variety. We need money. Damn actually providing people with a breadth of video games that they can enjoy. Damn the artistry of this medium. Damn everything. It's all for the almighty dollar. We want everybody to make Activision Blizzard money. And if you don't, you're done. It is that simple. Your game doesn't make Activision Blizzard money? Get out. So Ninja Theory, most likely gone. That would be my prediction. Machine Games, the guys working on that Indiana Jones game, they're gone as soon as that game's done. Obsidian, that's working on Avowed. This was actually something that I spoke about with Legendary Drops on the latest Conscast Live. And I think that what he's saying made a lot of sense. At least I think he was the one who said it. Where basically Obsidian becomes Todd Howard's bitch. So the same way that, what was that other studio that just got soaked up? It was Roundhouse Studios just got absorbed by the blob that is ZeniMax. ZeniMax are like, blop. You guys remember that mobile game? Not mobile, that browser game. I forget what the name of it was. The browser game where you just had those blobs that like ate each other. It was very popular among streamers. I forget what the name of that game was. But basically that's what happened. You know, the ZeniMax blob was like, bloop. It absorbed the Roundhouse Studios blob. And what's going to happen is the Bethesda blob, which is already very big and bloated and ugly and, you know, buggy, it doesn't work all the time and lazy, is just going to limp over the Obsidian blob and it's going to like, bloop, like, so that's what's going to happen. They're probably going to just become Todd Howard's bitch on the Bethesda, and they're going to disassemble Obsidian, and they're just going to be absorbed into the Bethesda machine. That's what I would expect. Because I mean, let's just face it. Microsoft doesn't want single player games, bro. They don't want these games that are not going to make like all of the money in the world. They want the things that are going to make all of the money in the world. That's what's going to happen. Ms. and Jamal, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. Need to have the clown music in the background when reading that insanity. Yeah, tell me about it. So, while we're on that topic, we have an interview here from the Xbox president, Sarah Bond, that we're going to be watching, and I'm going to be reacting to it. I've already watched this before, but let's do some commentary on this, shall we?
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. So I want to start talking about the industry in general. You and Microsoft Games CEO Phil Spencer have been raising kind of the alarm that the video game industry is just not growing, and there's a real need to figure out how to reverse that. What's causing the issue, and how does Xbox turn it around?
So here's one of the first things that I want to point out. By the way, I forgot to put this in presentation mode. Here's one of the first things that I want to point out. Actually, let's swap back to this. The industry can't be growing all the time. And like I've already mentioned previously, you're lucky the industry is not in a massive decline following the huge boom that we had during the pandemic. Okay? You're lucky that we're not seeing a decline, that you've actually been able to somewhat maintain. So it's not growing. It also doesn't mean that it's declining, that's my understanding anyway. So we had a major bubble right now. And you guys made a lot of bad decisions based on that bubble. And are like, what? Why doesn't line go up? Line needs to go up all the time. You get to a point where the industry is just not, you know, not to mention that it's like people are somewhat hesitant right now in terms of consoles because consoles are at the end of their life cycle. So naturally people are going to not invest as much. They're going to be playing their backlogs. That's the other thing. We've had a ton of fantastic releases in 2023 and 2024. I would argue that most people probably bought more games that they can even play. Those people are probably playing those games right now. But it's like, oh, they bought all the games and now they're not buying more. Yeah, they're being responsible consumers, considering the economy is in the fucking toilet. The industry can't keep growing and growing and growing. This isn't the fucking, you know, the magical beanstalk.
Yeah, you know, the last year or so in video games, largely the industry's been flat. And even in 2023, we saw just some tremendous releases, tremendously groundbreaking games.
Yeah.
But still, the growth didn't follow all of that.
There's another aspect to that as well, which is, yes, we've seen tremendous releases, but we've also had one problem that we also had at the start of this year, which is a lot of video games released too close to one another. And there's a lot of games that ended up getting lost in the shuffle. A lot of games got lost in the 2023, 2024 shuffle because so many games came out at the same time. And people were forced to choose because people can't just be like, oh, hells yeah, I'll just buy 10 games in the span of a week. Hells yeah. Of course not. That's not reasonable. So people had to pick and choose which games they were going to dedicate their time to. Because the other thing is, not even just from a money perspective, there's a limited amount of time that people have. So it's like, you know, in a way, you guys kind of did this to yourselves. If the industry would have actually organized and be like, okay, let's maybe not release these games all on top of each other. Let's give people a little bit room to breathe, which is something that, you know, people have been getting a little bit better about. but let's actually give each of these games a little bit of room to breathe, maybe people would have bought more games. But you release everything on top of each other, you're going to fuck it up. And that's going to fuck with the industry's growth too.
It's, a lot of that's related to our need to bring new players in, make gaming more accessible, but all of that has been happening at the same time that the cost associated with making these beautiful AAA blockbuster games is going up, and the time it takes to make them is going up.
So let's talk about the cost of AAA games going up. Sure, if you're, investing everything into making your game look as pretty as it can possibly look, yeah, that cost is going to go right up. Most of those usually end up being for assets and stuff like that. People just generating tons and tons and tons and tons of really high detailed assets. Agreed. Cost goes up a bit because of that. Take the approach of Stellar Blade. This is one of the things that I actually said about Stellar Blade in my review, is that I feel like they're taking a much more sustainable approach. Because if you stop and look at like the ground texture in Stellar Blade, it doesn't look impressive. It doesn't even look all that great. Does it matter though? No. Why the fuck are you looking at a ground texture in a super fast-paced action game like Stellar Blade? If you look at a wall, if you look at a building, the detail on it is not going to be particularly impressive. On the other hand, if you look at Eve's ass, perfectly detailed, super well-toned, nice and jiggly, phenomenal. So what did the Stellar Blade team do? They put the effort where it needed to be put. A lot of people in video games nowadays, for whatever reason, they're like, oh man, look at the ground textures on my game. Who gives a fuck? That's going to be interesting for about 5 whole minutes. If it's going to cost you, like, I don't know, an increase of 10% in the budget of your video game, fuck your ground textures. Fuck your wall textures too. It's like, I'm sorry, you need to prioritize the things that matter. You do. You need to prioritize the things that really matter for your video game. Because what is happening right now is also very irresponsible. We're having irresponsible development. Where people are like, this was actually one of the problems with the original release of Final Fantasy XIV. The people in the team of Final Fantasy XIV, they were so excited about making the game that they made this asset that was like a barrel with flowers. And that barrel with flowers had so many fucking polygons of detail on it that basically whenever you were close to one of those pots, the performance of the game tanked. That's irresponsible development. You need to figure out what are the things that matter in your video game. Okay? Do 8K textures on a wall matter that much that you're putting like 10% of your budget on that? I would argue no. Maybe you can tell me a reason why you would argue yes. But, that's all I'm saying. You gotta figure it out. You gotta figure it out. You got to figure out what matters for your video game, and that's what you need to focus on, as opposed to like, well, it's just more expensive to make video games now. The AA games would beg to differ. Like, I'm pretty sure that Remnant 2 is a success, despite the fact that it was even overshadowed by all of the games that were released last year. The developers are still just like steadily plugging away at it, working on the DLC, doing all of that stuff, and it's an absolutely fantastic, fucking phenomenal game that I recommend everybody to check out. And it doesn't have a AAA ballooned out of my asshole budget. And I've gotten over 100 hours of entertainment out of that game. Hell, I've gotten more hours of entertainment out of Remnant 2 than I did out of Starfield. What does that say about your ballooning budgets? Think about that.
And so much of our focus as Xbox is about how we do things to help the industry all up.
How we help the industry all up, like, closing Tango Gameworks, closing Arcane Austin. We're helping the industry. That's our priority. We're helping them.
While also ensuring that our brand, everything that we do is there through this moment of transition.
Related to some of the trends you're identifying, earlier this week, Xbox announced the shuttering of 4 game studios. I know you're not the studio's chief, but how should gamers understand that move in terms of Microsoft's commitment to developing innovative exclusive games?
Yeah, it's always extraordinarily hard when you have to make decisions like that. I'll go back to what I was saying about the industry. And when we looked at those fundamental trends, we feel a deep responsibility to ensure that the games we make, the devices we build, the services that we offer are there through moments, even when the industry isn't growing and when you're through a time.
Let's hear that again.
Through moments, even when the industry isn't growing and when are there through moments, even when the industry isn't growing and when are there through moments, even when the industry isn't growing and when.
You mean like right now? You're saying like we make decisions to ensure that our games are there even when the industry isn't growing. Like right now. Dude. The industry isn't growing like right now, so we're clearly making decisions to preserve our video games by murdering Tango Gameworks. The line didn't go up. We murder studios. It's almost like Microsoft is actually just sacrificing studios to the line god. It's just like, okay, here's Tango Gameworks. Cuts off their neck, rips their jugular, drops the blood on top of the altar of the stonks, and hopes that the gaming industry trends upwards. It didn't. Okay, Arcane Austin, you're up next. Chop. And it's like they're going to keep chopping these studios down. And she's just going to come in here and blatantly lie. Though you got to admit, that what else is she going to do? It's not like she can come in here and say the truth. She's like, well, we wanted more profits so that the game looks better for the investors. And we couldn't get those profits. So instead, we resorted to cost cutting.
You're through a time of transition. And the news we announced earlier this week is an outcome of that. And our commitment to make sure that the business is healthy for the long term. But
you bought these studios in like 2018. This was 6 years ago. What exactly do you consider to be long term? You bought all these studios and then you fucking killed them. Actually killed them. You didn't even release them. You just fucking killed them so that you could rip away their IPs from them, so that you can keep the IPs and hoard the IPs like a fucking dragon. Okay.
But that said, our commitment to having our own studios and working with partners to have games large and small. We're a platform where you can play GTA, but you can also play Power World, where you can play Call of Duty, and you can also play Pentiment. That doesn't change.
Considering the amount of studios that you waxed, it's about to change.
And frankly, our commitment to Bethesda and the role that it plays is part of Xbox in everything we do. It's actually been pretty fantastic. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to check it out.
Wait, it's actually been pretty fantastic? Let's listen to the question again.
Do is there through this moment of transition. And so much of our focus is accessible, but tremendously grounded.
Where was the question?
The device innovative exclusive games. Move in terms of Microsoft studios. I know you're not the studio.
Is there through this moment of transition.
Related to some of the trends you're identifying, earlier this week, Xbox announced the shuttering of 4 game studios. I know you're not the studio's chief, but
we announced the shuttering of 4 game studios.
Is part of Xbox in everything we do. It's actually been pretty fantastic.
It's actually been pretty fantastic. You realize that in the answer, we're like, hey, what's the deal with you guys closing down these 4 studios. It's actually been pretty fantastic. Bethesda's doing
So if
great.
you've gotten a chance to check it out.
You should check it out.
The Fallout TV show was on Amazon.
Man, the
And
Fallout
it's been great
TV
to see
show, it's so
people
good.
Fall in love with that universe, but also what it's done for the games themselves, and people going back and exploring everything that's inside of that. There's some other great things that are coming from our studios later this year.
Right before we cut them dead. There's some great things coming up from our studios later this year. Right before we chop their fucking heads off and put them in the meat grinder right next to Tango Gameworks in Arcane Austin.
Anna Jones and the Great Circle. I was a big indie fan growing up. Looks like you were too. So you should check that out. But really right now for us and our teams, our focus is on the people impacted and doing everything that we can do to help them through this hard transition.
I think one of the things that was most upsetting, both
Firing, actually not even firing, destroying 4 studios. I would argue that hard transition is a very big euphemism for destroying 4 studios.
to Xbox gamers and to employees, is that one of the shuttered studios in particular just created a hit game, did really well on Game Pass in terms of engagement, and won a ton of awards. Shouldn't succeeding in that way ensure the future of a studio?
She's talking about Tango Gameworks. Shouldn't succeeding like Tango did ensure the success of a studio?
Of a studio?
One.
Why'd you have to ask that, you bitch? That was what was behind that sigh. She was like, you had to ask about Tango Gameworks, didn't you? You just had to do it. God damn it. Whatever happened to Larry Herb? Major Nelson? He left a while back. Major Nelson left a while back. Is there any chance another publisher could pick up folks like Tango Gameworks? Of course there is. But that would mean that they would lose the Hi-Fi Rush IP.
One of the things I really love about the games industry is it's a creative art.
So wait a minute. We just talked about how you closed down Tango Gameworks, and your first sentences, one of the things I really love about the games industry.
Love about the games industry is it's a creative art form.
It's a creative art form.
And it means that the situation and what success is for each game and studio is also really unique. Like there's no one size fits all to it for us. And so we look at each studio, each game team, and we look at a whole variety of factors when we're faced with
ChatGPT answer.
decisions and trade-offs like that. But it all comes back to our long-term commitment to the games we create.
Your long-term commitment to the games is to shred them. You know what's funny? Is like, look at this. Microsoft's Xbox year-over-year growth. It's like they dipped a little bit and they're like, kill everyone. They had a dip. They had a fucking dip after massive growth. And they're like, kill everyone. Holy shit.
The devices we build, the services, and ensure
Oh,
that we're
God.
setting ourselves up to be able to deliver on those promises.
Talking further about growth, one of the key focus areas for Xbox in terms of growth, and this was also one of the key bets in the Activision acquisition, was mobile. What's the Xbox plan for future mobile gaming, and when can we finally see it?
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time since we announced.
Mobile gaming. Yeah, look at how excited she is about this one. She just wants to circle jerk their purchase of friggin' Activision Blizzard and go like, oh my God, you know how much fucking money King makes? Holy shit. You know how many people are stupid enough to buy extra lives on Candy Crush? You should see how many idiots are out there. How many people are fleecing out of their fucking money right now. I have a fucking clit boner just thinking about it.
Announced the Activision acquisition, which we completed in October.
Look at her. Look at her smile. Just like, oh my God, you have no idea how good things are. Look at he's fucking smiling. Dude, she is glowing. She's ready to tell you all about Activision Blizzard, bro.
And the whole thesis about that, a lot of why we did it was about mobile.
Oh my God,
And
dude.
we felt strongly that there has been an opportunity for there to be an experience on mobile that is centered around gamers. Like we talk a lot about how there's 3 billion gamers in the world. 2 of those billion play on mobile, and half of those actually play on mobile and they play on another device. But there isn't actually
too many
a
times,
gaming
bro.
platform and store experience that is centered around players and goes truly across device, where who you are, your library, your identity, your rewards, that travels with you versus being locked to a single ecosystem. And we've recognized that opportunity for a long time, but we wanted to make sure that anything we built was really grounded in people who play those mobile native games and the creators of them. And so
Yeah, those fucking degenerates that spend all their money on fucking Candy Crush. Oh, I swear to God. I swear to God, there's people that can't afford to like buy food and are probably spending $100 a month on fucking Candy Crush.
being joined with a team that has real deep expertise in mobile was important to us. But we are that now. And so in
Look
July,
at how excited
we're
she
gonna be
is.
launching our mobile store experience. We're going to start actually by bringing our own first-party portfolio to that. So you're going to see games like Candy Crush show up in that experience, games like Minecraft. And then we're going to extend that capability to partners so that they can also take advantage of it and have a true cross-platform gaming-centric mobile experience.
Don't you feel good with your Xbox Series X right now? Don't you feel fantastic? That like everything she asked her about games, she's like, well, yeah, the industry isn't growing and there's problems and blah, 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 blah. And the literal moment that Dina Bass mentions, what about mobile? Sarah Bond's like, oh man, let me tell you all about this. Oh my God. We have a store coming out in July. Bro, you have no idea how much money we're making with Candy Crush. Let me tell you all about that. Meanwhile, people sitting at home with their Xbox Series X, they're looking at this and they're like, what the fuck, dude? What the actual fuck have I done?
We're going to start on the web, and we're doing that because that really allows us to have it be an experience that's accessible across all devices, all countries, no matter what, independent of the policies of, closed ecosystem stores. And then we're going to extend from there. So I'm excited about it just because it's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. We've heard gamers talking about it for a long time, and we're now at the point where we can take.
You've heard gamers talking about it for a long time? A fucking mobile store? Is that, guys, who's she talking about? Is anybody in here that's been like, oh man, I can't wait for Microsoft's mobile gaming store? Is any of those people in this chat? Do we have literally one person? Do we have one person in this chat that has been like, oh man, the Microsoft mobile store, I've been jonesing for it, dude? Just one person. No? Not a single one of you. Damn. Impressive. Gamers have been talking about it. Gamers have been talking about Microsoft's mobile store. Lady, I didn't even know you were making one. I've never fucking heard of it. Oh my God, dude.
Take those steps.
And so in July when it launches, we at that point at the beginning see Candy Crush and Minecraft in it, or how soon, or?
You'll see things roll out over
Okay.
time.
Do you know how
Yeah.
soon partners will
Look
be
at how
able to use it as
excited she
well?
is.
You know, our goal is to get partners using it shortly after launch. We really want to make sure we start and we scale using our own IP first. That allows us to make sure that the experience that we bring partners into really builds on all the quality and learning that we have as a team.
Another big discussion point in the Activision acquisition was cloud gaming and how big
Cloud fucking sucks. Cloud fucking sucks. Cloud fucking sucks. Because it's got fucking input lag. Here's what I want to hear. Sometimes I see people defending cloud. I know that friend of the channel, Ginger Prime, he fucking loves cloud gaming. I know this. Here's what I have to say. You want to convince me of cloud? Show me someone playing Hi-Fi Rush on, doesn't have to be the last difficulty, but like the second to last difficulty. Show me somebody playing Hi-Fi Rush on the second to last difficulty in the cloud. Show me. I will eat my words. I will eat them. I will apologize for every single criticism I've ever done to cloud gaming. Show me one person. Second to last difficulty. I should demand the last difficulty, but second to last difficulty on Hi-Fi Rush playing on cloud. One person. Just show me one person doing that. I will shut up forever about the cloud. I will never utter its name again. I will shut up forever. I will be silenced. You will win. Just show me one person playing that game successfully on cloud gaming, second to last difficulty.
that market really was. When will we really see it gain traction? Is it gaining users finally in any particular regions and scenarios? How is it doing? What do people use it for?
Yeah, so, you know.
Bro, the body language said everything. Listen to what her body language says right there.
What do people use it for?
Yeah, so,
Yeah, yeah, cloud. Yeah. About that.
you know, cloud gaming, for those that don't know, I don't know if everyone here in the audience is familiar with it, is just
Let me tell you all about cloud gaming.
the ability to play a game natively from the cloud. So you don't need to actually have.
You know what? I think one of the things that I hate even more about cloud gaming is this idea that's like, it's the ability to play a game from the cloud. It's the ability to connect to a server that renders the game for you. Cloud. It's like it's fucking magic. No, there's a machine that's not in your house that's rendering the game for you. It's not a fucking cloud. It's a server. It's fucking... I swear, cloud... Bro.
A piece of hardware in your home, and you can experience
Oh man, we were
something
yelling
that's
at a cloud.
AAA Xbox gaming on any device, regardless of the local compute that you have. And we have been...
Play Hi-Fi Rush on it, Sarah. Do it. Play Hi-Fi Rush on it. I want to see it. You have a phone. Don't you have a phone? Play Hi-Fi Rush on your phone right now on the cloud. I want to look at it.
Investing in that for some time because we really believe that opening up sort of these beautiful immersive experiences to more gamers is important for industry growth, for developers, and we know people want to play those experiences. And we're seeing...
Not a single person would choose to play on the cloud if they had another option. If they had the option to play locally, not a single person would choose to play something on the cloud. Not a single one. Unless they're not too smart.
tremendous growth there. We have more demand than supply in that area, and you'll see us rolling out more capacity.
Wait, what?
Supply for industry growth, for developers, and we know people want to play those experiences. And we're seeing tremendous growth there. We have more demand than supply.
There's more demand than supply for Microsoft's cloud gaming? Bro, no, listen. If that's true, like, listen, guys. Look, it's been nice knowing you. But if that's true, fuck this industry. I'm out of here. Y'all have fun playing in your fucking clouds, okay? Go play in your clouds. Right in the clouds. Yeah, have fun with that shit. Sorry, guys, I went to the cloud real quick. I went to the cloud. I had to go see the demand that was... Not surprised, a lot of people in ACG's community talk about cloud gaming. There's no way, dude. There's no way.
And you'll see us rolling out more capacity, introducing more options for people to jump in and play on the cloud.
And is it growing faster than the overall market? We were talking about the market itself is down.
Let me just say one of these things. One thing though, right? Because people might say, "Oh, Rurikhan doesn't even know how cloud gaming works. He's never done any cloud game, or something like that." Like, listen, cloud gaming is essentially the same thing that I can do with my PlayStation, which is I can use PS Remote, access my PlayStation remotely, play the video games, whether that's on my phone or on an iPad or something like that. And you can just do it. You can just play the games. Boom, done. And it's like, it's somewhat functional if you're playing something that doesn't demand twitch reflexes at all. So like if you're playing, what's that farming game that everybody loves? I forget the name of it. There's this farming game that everybody loves. It's not Farmville. Farmville was the Facebook game, right? Which one's the one, the pixel art game? Stardew Valley. Yeah. I would imagine you can probably play a game like that. You can play your Stardew Valleys. You can play your visual novels. You can play turn-based games. And that will be fine. I want you to go and try playing Monster Hunter on it. It is miserable. It is fucking miserable. And Monster Hunter is not even that demanding in terms of your twitch reflexes. There's a certain amount of freedom in terms of when you press your inputs. I can only imagine what it would be like to play fucking Stellar Blade on it. You're crazy. You're insane.
Where is cloud gaming?
It is growing fast in the overall market, really bringing in new players and growth.
DMC, yeah,
it's
good
an area
luck.
where we're investing more and
Hi-Fi Rush.
About.
Earlier this year, Xbox announced for the first time that it was bringing a slate of Xbox.
Ms. and Jamal, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, hit that like button, subscribe, bell notification icon. Really, really appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you all. Let's continue.
Xbox developed games, Xbox exclusive games, to rival platforms, to Sony's PlayStation, Nintendo Switch. That obviously was a big change. It was a little bit unsettling for some of the Xbox hardware fans, but how is it going so far? Do you have any data about how the games are doing? Just do PlayStation gamers really want
So, Sea of Thieves was apparently the number one PlayStation game in Europe, I think. So those games are actually doing really well.
play Sea of Thieves?
It's early days yet, so I don't have specific data to share, but we are really encouraged by the reception of our games. And one thing that I think it's important to note is, as Xbox, we've been putting games on other platforms for a long time. Minecraft is available pretty much universally. The teams at Bethesda have had games on other platforms.
Aren't there like two different versions of Minecraft, and the version of Minecraft that's on Xbox is different from the version of Minecraft that's on PlayStation? Am I talking out of my ass? I remember that at one point there was something about that, but I don't know if that's still the case or not.
The teams at Activision, Blizzard have games on other platforms. And so it's a decision we just make on a game-by-game basis as we move forward and continue to execute on our strategy.
I mean, at the same time, we've talked about mobile, we've talked about cloud. I mean, of course, Xbox itself's heritage is in console. And, the energy around the console right now is a little challenged. Many of the hardcore long-term customers
is a little challenge. Your shit ain't selling. Nobody's buying your console. And after the recent news, nobody's gonna buy your console. And probably people are gonna be canceling their Game Pass subscriptions. Yeah, shit's challenging. Tell us about that.
Worried. They're worried about the release on other platforms. They're worried that that may indicate that Xbox is defocusing its own hardware. What do you say to them? How do you make them feel like Xbox is still for them?
Yeah, at first, the worry that I see is happening across the industry, and I think is a lot of what we're seeing, just industry all up. But specific to core gamers, my focus has really been on engineering and building that next generation hardware experience that really, really taps in to their needs. I talked about
that next generation experience, which, by the way, was mentioned. I forget if it was Aaron Greenberg or Matt Booty, who mentioned that before, I think it was before the Xbox Series X released, he was like, 60 FPS is going to be our default, even though the architecture can actually support as high as 120 FPS. And now every fucking game that comes out on the console is actually running at 30 FPS. You mean that next generation hardware experience, Sarah? That's what you're managing? Are you doing engineering on that? Engineer me a 60 FPS game. Why don't you engineer me a 60 FPS game, goddammit? Engineer me one of those. Fucking 30 FPS on Starfield, 30 FPS on Hellblade 2. Engineer me some more frames.
This a little bit publicly a few months ago. I talked about how our focus is on delivering the biggest leap ever.
The biggest leap ever, face first into a pile of shit.
About really thinking through every aspect of what that hardware and what that experience delivers with the core gamer in mind. And that is about power and performance. That's absolutely a part of it. But it's also
she actually
about
said
the ability to be able to play all of the games. I mean, we have people who've been playing on Xbox for decades, have invested thousands and thousands of dollars.
Here comes the lie.
With us, and to be able to take all of those games with them into the hardware of the future. So one of the decisions I made when I came in and became president of Xbox was to establish a team dedicated to that, to game preservation.
We care about game preservation. We care about game preservation. This is why we just shut down 4 studios. We wanted to preserve their games. We were scared they were going to change them, so we wanted to preserve them the way that they were. We care about game preservation. This is why we didn't allow Arcane Austin to change Redfall to enable the single-player offline mode, because we care about game preservation. Shut the fuck up.
And ensuring that future generations, future iterations, that you get to take those things with you forward. The next part of that is saying, okay, I get to bring those games with me. I'm invested in those games. I get an incredible high-performance experience.
30 FPS. Incredible high performance.
On my console, but also continuing our commitment to make sure that gamers can bring their games with them wherever they want to play. That my Xbox library is something that can go with me and that I can enjoy with others. So our long-term commitment to cross-play is part of that, and our commitment to cross-progression and cloud saves, so you can pick up on one device and you can play on another, is part of that. And also our investments in cloud gaming, which you referenced earlier. A lot of those who use cloud gaming are people who own a console. They're just, they want to play it on another device and go somewhere else. So that's the second piece. And then the last piece is about Game Pass. We know our core users love Game Pass. Game Pass is a gaming subscription.
I've always said I think Game Pass is tremendous value for the consumers because, you pay a whatever monthly fee and you gain access to fucking hundreds of games. That's phenomenal. It is also never something that I want for myself because I don't want to experience video games the same way that I experience Netflix. If I want to play a video game, I want to have it. I don't want to be dependent on whether or not that video game happens to be on that subscription service on that specific day. And by the way, with them popularizing this Game Pass stuff, this is why now we have a lot of other companies going like, oh, we have Game Pass at home. So there's the EA Pass, the Ubisoft Pass. I'm a pass on all of them.
You get a whole portfolio of games, but importantly, you get every single one of our games that we build day one in Game Pass. And the quality and the breadth of those games.
And here's something interesting, because this is coming back to bite them in the ass, because now they're debating whether or not they're going to put Call of Duty on Game Pass alongside price hike, because supposedly they're going to be increasing the price of Game Pass, and on top of it, they're going to have to decide whether or not they put Call of Duty on Game Pass. And this is a lose-lose situation for them, because if they don't put Call of Duty on Game Pass, then the people who bought Game Pass are going to be like, well, what the fuck? You said all of your games are coming to Game Pass. You bought Activision Blizzard. That makes Call of Duty one of your games. So therefore, it needs to come to Game Pass. On the other hand, if they put the game on Game Pass, they're going to miss out on millions of, probably billions of dollars in sales, because in case you guys aren't aware, Call of Duty is one of the biggest franchises in gaming, obviously, and therefore it's going to have millions upon millions of idiots buying the fucking game every single time, regardless of the quality of the game, right? So, it's just another situation that they've put themselves into, painted themselves into a fucking corner. Good luck with that.
Has only been going up over time, and you're going to see some more really big games going into Game Pass later this year.
From Activision's
across the whole slate, you're going to see some really amazing things, and keeping that as something that is really special for Xbox players is central for us.
A lot of the focus at this conference today has been AI, but AI for gamers is a little different than we talk about AI for the enterprise or for healthcare. Where do you think AI will be important, both to players and to game developers, and how is Microsoft investing against that?
Yeah. I didn't hear all the talks today, but I think we can all confidently say that we are right at the beginning of what AI means for us as a society, and for businesses in general, and that's absolutely true in gaming as well. For us, we take our responsibility around AI as Microsoft very seriously, and being really, really thoughtful about what we do. And as Xbox, there's something really unique about being a gaming company that is part of a major AI company. And so all of our focus within our team is about how we ensure that gaming AI is really crafted in a way that delivers unique and delightful experiences to players, and adds real value for developers. So there's three things we look at as part of that. The first is around developer velocity. How do we give developers
Anyway, it
tools?
looks like this is the last answer, and I honestly don't give a fuck what they're going to be doing with AI. I'm sure they're going to be telling us more about that, but yeah, dude, Xbox is in a bit of a pickle, you could say. I would argue that Xbox is they're kind of fucked. After this, they've lost so much goodwill that I don't even know how they come back from it, to be honest. I have no idea how they come back from that. who the hell buys an Xbox anyway? It's like, I don't think that before what happened now, I can understand why people would want an Xbox. Because again, I think that a lot of people look at this industry and they think about like, well, the game's on PC. Why would I get an Xbox? But the reality is, for a lot of people, a PC is simply not something that they can do. Because if you're talking about buying a PC for gaming, regardless of what people tell you, okay? Because I know that there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, you can make a bomb-ass PC for $800. And I'll be like, you can make a bomb for $800? Bomb-ass PC? Not unless you're fucking stealing the parts for $800 you're going to make a good gaming PC. No, you're fucking not. Probably not even going to be able to match the performance of an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 with $800. And I know that people will argue with me on that. And, you know, you can have an argument about it. But the situation is, at the end of the day, if you build a PC with the same hardware that the console has, you still have to account for Microsoft Windows, which, for people that don't know, is not a particularly well-optimized operating system that is going to consume a lot more resources than the operating system of a console. This is what's going to allow the console to eventually outperform that same computer that has similar hardware or even slightly superior hardware to that of a console. The operating system is going to make all of the difference. So, you know, so it's like if you're building a computer and you want to be able to have something that is going to be good for games, like, I would say you're not getting something for less than about 2,000 bones. At the very least, 1,500 bones to get something halfway decent in today's market. That would be what I would expect. If you're not willing to spend 2K, it's not worth building a PC. Exactly. That'd be that would be my thing. A good PC with a 3080 is still like 1,500. And yeah, that's probably like the bar. You can buy a bomb-ass video card for $800. And then you can and then you can stare at it and be like, oh man, look at my GPU. I have a great GPU. Look at it. The only way for PC to get competitive with consoles goes second-hand market. Yeah. You can build a PC that beats a PS5 for around $450. See, this is the type of stuff that I love to see people say, because you're absolutely fundamentally wrong by any conceivable metric unless you're fucking stealing the parts. Period. Unless you're fucking stealing the parts. You are wrong by every conceivable metric. There is no way that with $450 you're going to be making a computer that beats a console. There's no way in hell, dude. Like, actually, think about what you're saying. Okay, listen, my guy. Look, I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to say, give me a 3060. A 30-fucking-60. It's 344 euros, dude. A fucking worthless 3060, the cheapest one. Well, there's a 328 one here. Are you insane? Oh no, let's get a worse one. Let's get a 2060. It's more expensive? There's one here for $299. It's just like whatever somebody says. They're like, oh, just $450, easy. New PC parts are for suckers. Okay, well, go get your fucking crypto-busted GPU, and good luck with that. Hopefully it will outlast a couple of months. Try AMD. Like, guys, do people just think that consoles are using like shit GPUs, or do you understand the performance that you can get on a console? I think that people just don't get it. $450. Jesus fucking Christ. Everything in Europe with us is more expensive. Okay, where do you want me to go buy it? Tell me where I'm supposed to go buy it. What, eBay? You want me to go to eBay to get a used one? Okay, eBay. Used 2060. 138 euros for a 2060, which by the way is not going to match. So on top of that, you're also going to need, like, let's say a CPU. Let's say an i5. It's like a random i5. That's another 60 bucks. An i5. Dude. We're already at like half the cost. We don't even have the board or anything like that. And the validity of these parts, good fucking luck. It's like playing Russian roulette. That's just the GPU plus CPU. You're looking at a little bit less than $300 for 2 used parts. You don't even have the RAM yet. You don't have your motherboard. You don't have your PSU. Or you're going to get a secondhand PSU? A secondhand shitty PSU? Okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that, dude. Good fucking luck. And then I want to see you side by side playing God of War on a PlayStation 5 and playing God of War on that one garbage PC that you just built through used parts. I want to see a side-by-side performance comparison. We're going to be watching a fucking slideshow on one side and a regularly running video game on the other. It's just some people, I'm sorry, but you're completely unreasonable. And here's the thing. When you say that, people seem to believe that I'm saying like, oh, consoles are better than PC. Of course not. PCs are way better than consoles by any conceivable metric, but you need to put in the fucking money. And it ain't no fucking $600 or even $800. You ain't gonna build no fucking PC that's gonna match up to a fucking console. It's not gonna happen. Don't forget the mouse and keyboard. He's gonna get one of those beige keyboards, dude. What is this? A gaming PC. A Ryzen, this is 550 bones. Ryzen 5, what's the GPU on this? A 7600. I'm fucking impressed. I am fucking impressed. What's the catch? I don't trust this. There's no way. Bought on Pesediga. 650 watts. There's a catch to this, and it's going to be a fucking nasty one, too. Bro, I'm switching to PC for sure. Yeah. What's shipping? Shipping doesn't matter. This is in Portugal, so it would be cheap because this is a Portuguese thing. But there's no way. There is no way. Also, I don't know how good the 7600 is. A 4060? There's no way. This is one of those computers that fell off the back of a truck. There is no way. I think the PS5 actually uses the 6700. Buy that and ship it to me right now. Good luck with that. How much cigarette tar comes with it? I think it would be reasonably recent. Who would want a 4060? Can't even play mobile games with that? Yeah, you can. The computer that is streaming this to YouTube is on a 2060 that I got from a sponsorship. Yeah. Once upon a time, I took a sponsorship, okay? It was because it was during the fucking crypto boom and GPUs were expensive as fuck and I couldn't afford a single GPU. So for once, I took one sponsorship And they gave me a fucking shitty 2060. Made 2 videos for them. They never spoke with me again. I don't think they liked it. Was it Raid? No, it was an Nvidia sponsorship. It was an Nvidia sponsorship. Those videos are probably still up on the channel. Let's see. Really? I can't even find it? What the fuck? Yeah, here it is. I gave them 2 videos because this was the video where I realized that if you don't monetize it, YouTube doesn't push it at all. Like look at this different. Let me show you guys. By the way, this was the video where I realized if you don't monetize the video, because I don't do a lot of sponsorships, right? So if you don't monetize the video, what's going to happen is YouTube will straight up not push your video at all. Because like, look, I didn't monetize this video, and the reasoning, I was thinking to myself, even though everybody that takes sponsorship, I've noticed when they take sponsorships, they still monetize their videos. But to me, I was like, I mean, I have a sponsorship on this video. Why would I not, why would I not just not monetize the video? I don't need to be making money on the video. I already got sponsored to make it. So that was my thought process, right? I don't want to be greedy. I'm getting sponsored. Why would I put ads on it? But because I didn't put ads on it, YouTube was like, you didn't put ads on this video? Get fucked, loser. We're not sending your video anywhere. And you can tell, because like this was 1 or 2 days apart, these 2 videos. This one got 2,400 views. This one had 31,000. Do you understand the difference? But yeah. I did this video for my 2060 because we all know I think I was playing is the best javelin. Okay, I think I was playing on 1440p because the GPU couldn't do 4K. But like this is running pretty smooth. I had like a frame counter up here and shit. You can see it. It said like 52 right now, 51. Considering how optimized it was, this is the computer that I have on the streaming side. Wait, is it on the streaming side of things? I think it is. Yeah, it's the one on the streaming side of things. But yeah, it was basically I just showed the game running on a 2060, and they gave me some Anthem codes to give away, whatever it was. God, I missed this game. This game was fucking awesome, dude. This game was sweet. Dude, just looking at it. Look, I'm running everything like on ultra and high and shit. God, I missed this game. Game was badass. Fuck. I'm just going to be stuck looking at this gameplay now. I really miss it. So much potential, dude. Scammed the fuck out of them with those views. No, because I gave them a second video. I gave them a second sponsored video because of the first one failed.
Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you.
This one also includes paid promotion, whatnot. And I basically made a build video. And I talked about the visuals and the card and whatnot and how it was, because it was pretty good. It's not the best. The 2060 is still a shitty card, but it was running Anthem pretty good. So I was having a good time. Bro, look at this fucking game. Can't believe they dropped the ball so hard on this fucking game, dude. God, I'm getting upset just looking at it. I'm getting mad just looking at it. PS5 is comparable to which GPU? The 6700. The Radeon 6700. $2060 used to be an entry card. What do you mean used to? The 60 series is always an entry card. Hey, listen, that 2060 is still rendering videos for me, man. It's a fucking workhorse. Hasn't broke down yet. Considering that thing was 5 years ago, it's still on this computer and still fucking working. It's rendering this video right now and sending it to YouTube. I'll tell you what. I have a lot of like beef with Nvidia, but holy shit, their encoding, top notch. Although AMD's encoding has also gotten a lot better, but yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't really compare GPUs directly with consoles because like I also said, there's also the operating system and there's all the optimization that they do on the console side. There's way more to it than just like get a PC with a 6700 and you're good to go. $2060 using Turing, I think, for encoding. Maybe. I don't know. I'm using their current thing, HV-Inc, which does H.265, which is... It's not as good as AV1, but it's pretty good. Does the AMD card have AV1 encoding? The 7 series does. I don't think the 6 series does. So in my computer at home, where I have the 7900 XTX, that one has AV1 encoding. Diaby Gaming. Hello, Ruri. Is there a reason you don't dual stream on Twitch? Mostly because I want to be focused on one chat. I don't like the idea of, you know, me answering questions from people that are asking questions on YouTube, and then the people on Twitch are like, who the fuck is he talking about? And then I answer a question on Twitch, and the people on YouTube are like, who the fuck is he talking about? Right? I like being dedicated to one chat. You know, it's like I'm a monogamous guy. I'm a one-woman guy. I'm a one-chat guy. I wouldn't cheat on you guys. If I'm streaming on Twitch, I'm fully dedicated to my Twitch chat. If I'm streaming on YouTube, I'm fully dedicated to my YouTube chat. That's the way I look at it. You going to play any Elden Ring today, Rui? No, not today. Today we're doing Cons Anvil. AMD GPUs have some issues. They're getting better. Like my 7900 XTX is actually pretty good. It's doing fucking fantastic. You also don't have chat up on screen because of GDPR? No, not really. I don't have chat up on screen because I don't usually have it up. Actually with YouTube it's a little bit annoying because it's not as easy to put in here. But you can just do a browser source and stick it in there. Every now and then I do it, but there's no particular reason why I don't put chat on screen. There's no law that prevents us from putting chat on screen. Rory, you were playing World on that new AMD card, right? What do you mean World? Monster Hunter World? No, I was playing on the footage that's on this channel of the Monster Hunter World stuff. I think one of the streams was on the 7900 XTX.
If only I
but
could be so
most of the
grossly
streams were on
incandescent.
the 6900 XT. Bro Mag, thank you very much for being grossing at us for 17 months. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Only problems I have with my AMD GPUs when I go full screen on YouTube, it sometimes black screens me and I have to unplug my HDMI cable and pull it back in. I had an issue with my 7900 XTX where it was so weird. It was the monitors. So I have two DisplayPort monitors on that computer, right? And they were plugged a certain way. And my computer would always give me like a GPU crash on the first boot. So I'd have to reboot. And you know what I did? I swapped the cables. Never crashed again. As in, I didn't swap the cables themselves. I swapped where I plugged them. So cable 1 was on plug 1, cable 2 was on plug 2. I put cable 1 on plug 2, cable 2 on plug 1. Never crashed again. So I don't know what was the problem. That was some weird ass shit. But yeah. I activated my Final Fantasy XIV account. Where's Gaijin? Gaijin started his own FC called Ronka. The Ronka FC. There's also a leak that RTX 5090 needs only 600 watts for the GPU. So you need to buy 1,000. I mean, I usually buy 1,000 watts power supplies at this point, but that's because, you know, I run beefy processors and beefy GPUs for video encoding. Good question, Rurikhan. Do you have a Steam Deck? No. The portable device that I use is the Nintendo Switch. When I'm out and about, I prefer to play on my Switch. It's much more portable than the Steam Deck. Steam Deck is a beefer. The Switch is smaller, more compact. Probably has better battery life too. Like, what's the battery life on a Steam Deck? I hear it's like 2.5 hours or something like that. 3 hours. Because on the OLED Switch, you get like 5 hours. An hour? Shit. 400 euros. It's expensive, dude. It's expensive, and it's like, I got all of my PC stuff on the PC. The Switch gives me access to other things. So it's a nice little synergy. So, you know. Okay, we have another topic though. Helldivers 2. So, for a while, I've already made a video talking about this. I don't know if you guys got to see that video because I've been experimenting with some YouTube notification stuff for reasons. I'm not going to get into it. It's too technical. But basically, some of you guys might not have seen that. But it's been confirmed that the delisting of Helldivers 2 was not by Steam. It was by Sony. Sony were the ones who made that call. So that's a bit of an update on that whole Helldivers 2 shenanigans. I don't know if you guys have been following that situation. And despite PlayStation's best efforts to destroy Helldivers 2 for whatever fucked up reason, it actually has been PlayStation's fastest selling game of all time. Helldivers 2 sold over 12 million copies in its first 12 weeks on sale, making it PlayStation's fastest selling game of all time. Speaking during an investor call, Sony said Arrowhead's PlayStation 5 and PC live service shooter far exceeded its expectations, hitting the impressive sales milestone on May 5th, 2024. Helldivers 2 beats out Sony Santa Monica's God of War Ragnarok, which hit 11 million copies 75 days after launching across PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in November 2022. Helldivers 2 launched on PC and PS5 at the same time, with crossplay fueling its co-op PvE action. Sony said Helldivers 2 is the company's biggest PC hit title to date, and as a multi-platform title, it also contributed significantly to sales and profit last quarter. Now think about it like this. Why exactly was Helldivers 2 more successful than God of War Ragnarok, or even just like, let's say, the original God of War? Why? Why is Helldivers 2 more successful? Because it released on 2 platforms, but more importantly, it released day and date, which has been the theme throughout this whole episode of Khan's Anvil. It released day and date. It really is that simple. It's a phenomenal game. Don't get me wrong. It's an absolutely phenomenal game. It released day and date. And I would argue that a majority of the sales of Helldivers 2 are probably from the PC side of things. It has to be. Price point, accessibility, shared release date, easy to get into. There's multiple reasons, really. Exactly. But like, I would still say one of the biggest things, I mean, naturally, it's because it's a great game. But let's just take the great game thing, because a lot of the games that come out of PlayStation exclusives are usually pretty good. So let's take the great game aspect out of it. Why was it more successful than other PlayStation games? Because it released on PC day and fucking date. Day and fucking date. Telling you, bro. Fucking telling you. Day and date. It is one of the most important things that a lot of publishers are not paying attention to. And this whole PlayStation situation has actually fucked over the studio quite a lot. Many Helldivers 2 devs lost a week of work because of Sony's PSN gate, and they were already struggling with massive pressure from the shooter's explosive launch. We're hiring and learning, though. Helldivers 2 studio Arrowhead is still struggling to catch up to the intense pressure that comes with releasing such a wildly unexpected successful game, and now they're also dealing with eternal delays caused by the recent PSN linking kerfuffle. Over the official Helldivers Discord channel, community manager Twinbeard explained from their perspective why there's sometimes a perception Arrowhead is slow to react to and implement changes based on community feedback. In Twinbeard's opinion, the issue comes down to the size of the studio still not being in proportion to the success of the game. I think the biggest issue so far has been that we were overwhelmed already by launch. It takes time, a lot of time, to bounce back and get ahead with such massive pressure. And what can easily be perceived as us being slow or not listening is more, in my opinion anyway, the fact that we're still not up to speed. Also, the game is still only 3 months old, but due to it being such a massive success, there's a ton of sentiment, opinions, suggestions, and great feedback, some of which we lack the time and resources to handle satisfactorily. We're hiring and learning, though. Also, when something like the PSN gate happens, a lot of things come to a halt. Many of us at Arrowhead more or less lost a week due to this, and only now are slowly getting back to what we were doing before all this, and that's even with it not being entirely resolved as well. Twinbert added, as Arrowhead grows, it plans to do a lot of other things, including vlog streams, interviews, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, Sony really damaged this game. They really screwed the pooch with what they chose to do. It's so dumb. And the worst part is that Sony is hurting their PC distribution situation. They really are. They're fucking it up really bad. As I said in my video, I don't know if you guys watched it, but in my video I just said they skipped the part where they shoot themselves in the foot, and they shot themselves right in the fucking face. They did. What are you doing? Why would you lose so much customer goodwill? They haven't fixed it yet, by the way, because they've said, okay, fine, we won't demand that you link your PSN account, but we're still not turning on the game back on those 180 countries where the game is now blocked. Why? You're not going to get people to sign up for PSN? Why not let them play the game? Let them play the fucking game. Make some money. Do you not like money? It's so weird. It is so weird. It's the weirdest thing. I will never understand the stance that they took with this because it makes no goddamn sense. And then on Ghost of Tsushima, that's the thing, Wolf Striker. Ghost of Tsushima is already blocked on those 180 countries. They automatically refunded people. They refunded pre-orders for Ghost of Tsushima on those 180 countries. That is literally cutting off your nose to spite your face. It's like, okay, they can't play the multiplayer if they don't do PSN. That's fine. Who wants to, I mean, I'm sure there's people that want to play the multiplayer of Ghost of Tsushima, sure. But like a majority of people just want to play the story, the single player portion of it, which is the best part of the game. It's so weird to me. It's so weird. The problem is that if you release the game later on PC players won't take it at full price value. I mean, they're already releasing it later, so it's already not going to make as much money as it could have if it had been released day and date. But on top of it, they're just like doing this asinine thing with the 180 countries and just being so pedantic about it. Like, stop. Just sell the game. Let the people enjoy the games. You'll make more money. I mean, do you want to put video games on PC for the specific purpose of getting people to create PSN accounts? Or do you want to put games on PC to make some fucking money? It's so weird. It's the weirdest thing. Sony's like a hot dog stand that refuses to sell you a hot dog unless you sit down at their table and eat it in front of them. Yeah, dude. You gotta understand, Japan, you see everything upside down. I don't think that's the case. Can you play Call of Duty without an Activision account? I don't fucking know. Why does that matter? Why does that matter? Because Seven City, the problem is not creating a PSN account. The problem is that in 180 countries, you can't make a PSN account. It's not like those countries woke up one day and decided, you know what? We hate PSN accounts. No, Sony just doesn't operate there. Therefore, you can't make a PSN account in 180 countries. So, people are just fucked. I think you need Battle.net for Call of Duty these days. I don't know if you need Battle.net for Call of Duty. It's just weird, dude. It's just super weird. And then finally, to wrap us up, ladies and gentlemen, we have the absolute banger that Electronic Arts are thinking about inserting adverts into games. But don't worry, it's going to be very thoughtful. As we start to harness the power of community, how do we think about advertising as a growth driver, says EA CEO as apparent reassurance. Bro. We will be very thoughtful as we move into that, Wilson said, as the head of company known for being extremely thoughtful over the years. More importantly, as we start to build community and to harness the power of community beyond the bounds of our games, how do we think about advertising as a growth driver in those types of experiences, Wilson added. Adding nothing but reassurance that the idea of cramming adverts into games to drive growth would be sensitivity approached. Yeah, sure, dude. Sure, dude. I'm sure they're going to do a fantastic job of sensibly placing ads on the video game. I'm sure that's like their top priority. 100%. It's so weird. It's like, if it's a free-to-play game, in a way, I'm like, if we get something for watching the ads and it's a free-to-play game, I'd be like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's actually look at what you're trying to do with this. If it's a game that I pay any amount of money for, fuck you, fuck your ads, get the fuck out of my face, don't even talk to me about it, okay? That's how that works. Fuck you and fuck your ads. But bro, EA has just been screwing the pooch for so long now that who knows. The thing that this guy said about the next Battlefield game is how it was going to be a tremendous live service. That was literally the first bit of information that came out. It's going to be a tremendous live service. He didn't talk about how artistic it was going to be, how awesome the gameplay was going to be. It's like, it's going to be a tremendous live service. You're going to be grinding for years. Bro. Double A's are on the rise. Triple A's are going down the drain. Luckily, there's still a lot of good video games for us to play out there. At the end of the day, gamers are still eating good. But holy shit, the execs up top are definitely screwing the pooch. I think that in the next couple of years, we're going to see a massive shift of people moving more towards the PC platform. And I think that consoles are going to be in dire straits, with the exception of Nintendo. I think that's going to be the case. I think that people are losing faith in the platforms, and I think it shows. I think it shows. I think PC is going to be where most people are going to start moving to. And that's not a thing that I'm saying like, oh man, it's going to be fantastic. It's a thing that I'm saying as in that's actually going to price a lot of people out of gaming. Because fundamentally, that is what is going to happen. You guys need to understand. I know that a lot of people are looking at this and they're like, oh man, everybody's going to come play PC games. It's going to be amazing. Companies are going to have to release everything on PC. It's going to be so good. But the reality is you're going to see a lot of people basically getting priced out of gaming. Because people who can afford a console can't necessarily afford a PC. And they're going to be fucked. They're pretty much fucked. We're going to have to go to the cloud if that's the case. Oof, I don't envy you, dude. Fuck that shit. Fuck the cloud. Oh, God. What happens when consoles die and Steam becomes a monopoly? Will they play nice? Here's where I'm at when it comes to that. I think that Steam is going to be pretty solid right up until Gabe Newell dies. The second Gabe Newell dies, we're all fucked. It is over. Okay? The second Gabe Newell dies, some fucking up-and-coming exec's gonna go in there, take the company public, monetize the fuck out of the platform way more. Forget about that whole kill switch of if Steam ever goes down, we're gonna make sure that you get to keep your games. Forget about all that. It's like the moment Gabe dies, we're all fucked, dude. We are all fucked. So yeah, grab your seatbelts. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be a bumpy fucking ride. And, by the way, if you guys enjoyed today's show, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification icon, all of that jazz. Once again, thank you very much for all the supporters that allow me to continue to do what I do. And thank you very much to everybody that shows up to the show, even if you aren't supporting. I love you all. I appreciate you all being here. You guys are amazing. You guys allow me to do what I like. I love you. I love you. But now, I'm going to get up from this chair and walk for a little bit so that I don't get a blood clot and die. Okay? Because I want to be here when I'm 80 years old, streaming to you guys, screaming at the cloud, talking about video games. Alright guys, hit that like button, subscribe, bell notification icon, all that jazz. There will be more Elden Ring tomorrow, most likely. And after this stream, you're going to be automatically redirected to the Cons Cast with Ben Kirtan. Watch it. It was a really cool conversation. We talked about a lot of video games. It was absolutely phenomenal. I love talking to Ben. And yeah, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys later. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.